G. Run GNCC here in South Carolina. Stu Baylor carrying the momentum here into round number 5, but it's Ben Kelly who sits atop the point standings. Who is going to carry the momentum into round number 6? Can Stu Baylor keep it going with another win? Or will Ben Kelly return center of the box? GNCC on RacerTV starts next. Go! GNCC Racing!
Hello and welcome to America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the 2021 GNCC Series presented by Specialized. Today, we are at the Dunlop Tires Tiger Run GNCC in Union, South Carolina, the Big Buck Farms, if you will. And, of course, I'm Rodney Thompson along with Mikey Waynes. And you might say, Big Buck Farms, we've been there already. Yes, we most certainly have. We started out the GNCC's championship season right here at these very soils in late February. And, of course, that kind of got the ball rolling, where Grant Baylor got his first win and, of course, made some pretty significant, I think, marks as far as what he hopes to see in the future. Second race here, and I know this is going to be so much different here this weekend, and it is going to be different because we got a lot of crazy things going on with, well, since the first time we were here, with Thad Duvall having that injury while racing, I believe, was Sprint Enduro, if I'm not mistaken. He was out for a while. He's going to be back this weekend. Yep. Trevor Bollinger is back with us. Let's see. And anybody else, I think about everybody's is almost back. If they're not, they're almost back. And I'll tell you, it's going to make for an exciting day, especially when we pick up with what we've already got as far as this season has been concerned. And, of course, Josh Strang has been one of the keynotes in this one. Another name, Jordan Ashburn, that we've said a whole lot. And, of course, can't quit talking about Stu Baylor and, obviously, the 530 of Ben Kelly, who is your current points leader right now. Now, of course, with this one, last time out, you know, Stu coming in, fresh off of a win from Georgia after that little mess up in the sands of Florida. I know he came in with a mission and, of course, came in with an idea that he was going to make it a battle, and he did. He and Josh Strang battled all day. Ben Kelly had a really good, solid ride that day, I think, back in that number 3 position. But, you know, all eyes, a lot of folks keeping an eye on the 514 machine, and you could not keep an eye on the 114 of Josh Strang that day because those guys were going back and forth. But I think that guy right there, the 969 of Johnny Giroir, the Gas Coastal rider there, that has really been making some huge waves the last couple of seasons, and especially here in the 2021 season. 3rd place overall when we look at time adjustments. That bumped Jordan Ashburn back to a 4th place overall position, but he got 3rd in class. But, I mean, that was pretty significant, I think, as far as the results were concerned. Jordan having a stellar day, but, man, what about Josh Strang? I think he's kind of that unknown variable that we don't know what to expect out of him, other than he's going to be tough. Is he going to be fast enough to win? I'm going to go and gamble and risk it and say every race, yes, he's fast enough to win. And, you know, even in the changing conditions that we had down there in South Carolina, I even forgot about the rain. It rained on part of the track.
It was a monsoon, yes.
Yeah, lots of wind and all kinds of things down there. It made for some exciting moments, I think, during the race. But how about that XC2 class? You know, we talked about Jonathan Giroir getting that 3rd place overall, but the battle that's been going on behind behind him.
Yeah.
Mike Witkowski got the win here at round 1 at Big Buck GNCC. Talking with Randy Hawkins, he told me, he said, I think that Mike might have actually peaked a little bit early during that race, and he's really had some struggles physically since that point. He thinks that he's overtrained, and of course, with that being said, they've changed things up, and I guess he's going to be looking to that guy right there, Stu Baylor, on how not to train so hard and still be able to win some races, because Stu does it on that Ampro Yamaha team, does with his fellow teammate there, Mike Witkowski. And congratulations too to Lane Michael taking the win, and of course that was at the Sprint Enduro this past weekend, so I know that was pretty cool. Stu Baylor was pretty pumped up about that. He said, that's the first race I've lost in U.S. Sprint Enduro this year, so he's hoping to get things back up into his winning way, as he took the win there at Camp Coker. Strang took second, Jordan Ashburn was third in class. Overall, again, it was Johnny Gerard, Ben Kelly. Grant Baylor took a fifth, and I'll tell you, he well-deserved fifth place position on that day. He had his work cut out for him. There's no doubt about that. Good to see Trevor Bollinger back. He got a good solid ride back there in the number 7 position. And of course, Corey Buttrick rounding out the top 10 there as we look at those XC1 Pro Class results from our last round of racing. But here's the overall points right now. Ben Kelly is your leader. He has that one win, but he's one of those guys. He's very smart, and he's going to ride tactfully to try to maintain that points lead. But as tight as things are right now, only a 3-point lead now over Josh Strang, who's been on the podium 3 times this season. Also Grant Baylor, who's only been on the podium 1 time with that big win, but he's only 6 points out of the lead. And in talking with Grant Baylor on Friday leading into this race, he says, I think I got a few things figured out that I was having problems and struggles with. So Grant might be a force to be reckoned with. And of course, Stu says, I want to win. I want to come here and win. And this is the first place I got to win ever in my career, and this is where I want to do it at. FYI, like I said, Thad Duvall will be here. He's who knows, obviously, maybe he could come back and win. I don't know, but he's not looking for that so much, but he is looking to put on a good ride. So with all the riders coming back healthy and seeing those names and those faces back, we look like we're getting back to what appears and seems to be a normal GNCC on the XC1 side of things, Mikey. Yeah,
it's interesting, and the thing that is the craziest to me is, Stu right now sitting back in, I believe, 5th in points. Yeah. He's got the axe out. He's chipping away. If I'm in 3rd, 4th, 2nd, I'm thinking, hey, I'm here too. And then taking a look at the XC2, Johnny Gerard has been lighting it up since round number 2, taking 3 wins in a row. And I can't help but think last season, Gerard, DeLong, and Witkowski were battling for that championship. And then Gerard got hurt late in the season, took him out of it. That's had to be in the back of his head. And right now, he's in control of this one.
Yeah, I'm sure he's thinking redemption. I'm sure he's thinking stake my claim here in GNCC as well. Craig DeLong's had a solid year, not finishing off the podium. Got 2 seconds and 2 thirds. Mike Witkowski, as you can see, had a 1st, a 3rd, a 4th, and it's just consistently gotten worse throughout the course of the season. So hopefully they found that magic formula that's going to work for Witkowski. Cody Barnes is another rider, and Lyndon Snodgrass. Now, you see Lyndon's got that 18th place finish, but I think you take that out and you put the rest of the way he's ridden this year. Lyndon's going to be a factor to take into consideration, I think, this weekend and all season long. And Cody, like I said, he's been running those consistent top 5 positions. Won't be long, I don't think, before we'll see that 99 machine also mixing it up with that top 3 and vying for some podium positions out there. So, I mean, this XC2 class, I know we haven't had a chance to talk about it a lot this year, Mikey, but just like on the 4-wheel side of things, there's a lot of things going on back there. And it's building. Everything is building, and we're about ready to see it come to pressure cooker status. And whenever that one blows, it's going to be a good one. There's no doubt about it. Another pressure cooker is that XC3, the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Now, this one, it's been dominated in the wing category by Jonathan Johnson. This kid, phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. But the hunger that lays behind him with Chase Colville, Zach Hayes, Ben Parsons, all these guys that you're seeing out throughout that entire top 10, I think any one of them has an opportunity to finish a top 5, top 3, and even a win. But right now, you've got to go through Jonathan Johnson, and he's the gatekeeper, I think, of this championship in 2021.
He is, but I mean, these guys are hot on their heels. They definitely want to take that win away from him. Chase Colville's a guy who is an absolute automatic whole shot machine. And then, of course, Zach Hayes, your defending champion. We had a chance to talk to him before the season even started, and he talked about how deep that class was going to be. And I think you look at the scoring chase, or the points chase right now, and he's absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of hungry riders in there.
There is, and names that we've seen work up through the pack. And this is a class, it took a while to see it grow to its fruition, and the kind of numbers and the kind of riders and the kind of talent that we expected to see in that class. It took a few years to get there, but we're here. We have arrived. This is a legitimate class. Not that it hasn't been in seasons past, but with the thickness and the deepness of the talent, we're here. And it's only going to get better as the future wears on. I think this is going to be one of our stepping stone classes, which is what it was intended to be for these kids stepping up from the youth ranks, and then they can then work their way right on up into the XC1 Pro class. So, I mean, it's exciting. I love it. And to think that we're talking about that right now, Jonathan Johnson in the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class today with straight wins across the board. Who thinks maybe 5 years we might be able to talk about that in the XC1 class as well? So I mean, that's the good thing about this class. So we get to see these stars start to be born back there.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's enough talking from us. Let's take it down to Jared Bolton with a Yamaha track description.
Thanks, guys. Welcome to Tiger Run GNCC. And if you're going, boy, that sure looks like Big Buck, that's because we're at Big Buck Farm. 2 races here this year, and the track crew is creative enough that we've really mixed things up and made this event feel totally different than when we're here for Big Buck. It's obviously a lot greener than when we were here earlier in the year. That means some of these sections are going to be a little thicker, a little harder to see, and that's going to make less lines in there, provide a little less passing for the guys. That'll make the key for this race to pass anywhere you can find an opportunity. It's going to make for some great racing on a beautiful race course here at the Big Buck Farm. Everybody loves coming here, and that's why we're here twice. But don't call it Big Buck, it's the Tiger Run at Big Buck. That's this week's track description. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Jared and Mikey. Again, this is going to be a totally different track in this 2.0 version at the Big Buck Farm. This is the Tiger Run, and that means that it's going to be different. We're going to have different conditions, a different racetrack, and maybe even a different outcome.
That's exactly right, Rodney. All right, you cool cats and kittens, this is the Tiger Run GNCC. We're going to take a quick word from our sponsors, and when we come back, Rodney Tomlin will be down on the starting line with those iconic 10-second calls.
You were just dying to say that, weren't you?
I was dying to say it.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do. But who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
This RacerTV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
answer to Jesus before. So can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I alone? Am I alone? Or can you help me out? Am I alone? Am I alone? Or are you speaking out? Are you speaking out? Oh, I think I can feel you say, dream big, 'cause boy, you're gonna make it. Stand tall, there's a higher road you're taking. Let go of everything that you know and be wild in the mystery. Dream big, 'cause boy, you're gonna make it. Stand tall, there's a higher road you're taking. Let go of everything that you know and be wild in the mystery. Oh, come on, come on. Be wild in the mystery. Oh, you gotta let go, let go, let go. And be wild, be
And welcome once again here to the Big Buck Farm for this Dunlop Tires Tiger Run GNCC, in the middle of opening ceremonies right now, and of course getting ready to let the riders go here in just a few moments. But before that, we do that, as we always do here in GNCC Racing, we like to take a moment to pause and ask a blessing on the race. And to do that, once again here today, Mr. Ricky Towery.
Thank you, Rodney. Hey, let's go, Lord, and let's have a word of prayer together this afternoon. Heavenly Father, once again, we do thank you for bringing us all together safely so we can have a little fun together. Lord, as we come down the last race of the weekend, you blessed us with such beautiful weather to enjoy our sport. Just watch over these riders this afternoon, Lord. Keep them safe. Let them go out there and have a good time together. Continue to watch over our military men and women in all parts of the world each and every day, taking care of us so we can be free to come out here and enjoy our sport. Do be with our leaders each and every day, that they will make the right decisions for us. Once again, Lord, we thank you for the Turner family for letting us use this piece of property to enjoy our sport. Continue to bless that family. Lord, we ask a special prayer request this morning for Wes Smith. He was injured yesterday. We ask you let him get healed up quickly as possible so he can get back out here with us. Lord, we just thank you for being in control of all things. We just ask that you will take us all home safely when it's over with. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please remain standing, stand at attention, move those caps, and cross those hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the singing of our national anthem being performed today by Union County resident Miss Amy House.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early lights what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Hey, o'er the land of the free,
have it, folks. Another great rendition by local Union County resident Miss Amy House with our Star-Spangled Banner. And, of course, as we get the stage set here, one more order of business. And that, of course, is the introduction of our XC1 Pro Class, our premier Pro Class here this afternoon, rolling to the line in accordance to championship points through the first 4 rounds of racing. And now it's time to meet our starting lineup. Rolling to the line first today, he rides aboard the number 530 from Harwinton, Connecticut on an FMF Factory Racing KTM, Ben Kelly. Rolling to the line second today in points, a former GNCC champion on board the 114 from Australia on a Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki, the Freight Train, Josh Strang. He captured the season opening win right here in these very soils at the Big Buck Farm in round number 1. Riding aboard the number 314 from Honey Pass, South Carolina on a KLM Milwaukee Gas, the Grizzly Grant Baylor. Rolling to the line today, 4th in points aboard the number 3. He's strong and consistent from Livingston, Tennessee on the Magna 1 Motorsports Husqvarna, Jordan Ashburn. Riding aboard the number 514, he captured his first ever XC1 overall win right here in these soils from Hodges, South Carolina on an Am-Pro Yamaha, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 206 from Winstead, Connecticut on an FMF Factory Racing KTM, Josh Toad. 7th in points aboard the number 212 from Duval, Washington on a Coastal Gas Factory Racing machine. He's rough, he's rowdy, he's Ricky Russell. Fresh off a U.S. Sprint Enduro win just 1 week ago from Boonville, North Carolina on the 523 Am-Pro Yamaha, Lane Michael. And he's back since the first round of GNCC racing in 2021. He rides aboard the 989 from Williamstown, West Virginia on the Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna, Bad Thad Duval. The 543 from Chile on the Red Bull MCS Racing Sherco, Benjamin Herrera. Aboard the 739 from Morganton, North Carolina on a Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, the Intimidator, Trevor Bollinger. And last and certainly not least, on board the 121 from Logan, Ohio, a factory beta ride, Corey Buttrick. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this, the Dunlop Tires Tiger Run GNCC. As our starting sequence is about to get underway now, folks, we look out over the starting line and we see, hey, wait a minute, we can't go racing yet. So DJ Judd, do me a big favor. Would you please remove the meat? Ricky Towery says, fire 'em up, boys. We're just moments away from getting things underway here in South Carolina for our 3rd stop in this great state. Our 2nd stop here at the Turner Family Farm, and of course, the end of our Southern Tour here in GNCC Racing. Thumbs up to Ricky Towery. Ricky Towery's checking all systems. Scoring and timing, track crew, medical staff, everyone seems to be in place. It's an all systems go here today. Ricky Towery finds himself into the first turn, and all eyes bearing down on him as he lets these riders know. Nearly 300 strong, 1 minute 1 minute before the waving of the green flag of the continuation of the Tiger Run. The next time we see from Ricky Towery will be the waving of the blue flag, and we all know what that means. 30 seconds before the start of the race. It's also the dead engine call for the race. And when things really start to get tense, Ricky Towery signals these riders less than 30 seconds to go. Shut them down, guys. Shut them down. Shut them down. Shut them down. And I got to ask you, South Carolina race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? That's pretty good. You are Union County, but that's just it. You are Union County, so I'm going to ask you one more time. Union County, are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the Dunlop Tires Tiger Run GNCC. A great jump off the line for Thad Duvall. Carries it through the first turn. A drag race into the second turn. Thad Duvall gets the whole shot. Ricky Russell, Ben Kelly right there, and Stu Baylor all in contention for that early lead. The XC2 250 Pro class. Up next, Ryder Lafferty, Benjamin Echo, also Cody Barnes, Simon Johnson, Thorne Devlin, Lyndon Snodgrass, Leon Draper, Michael Witkowski, Brendan Poling, Jesse Ansley, Craig DeLong, Evan Smith, Ray Barbosa, Vincent Smith, Sebastian Taverne, Hunter Newworth, Chris Venditti, and Jonathan Gerard in 10 seconds. Uh-oh. Problems off the line for the 99 of Barnes, but Leon Draper grabbing the whole shot. Witkowski right behind him. The Energy Racing KTM up front in this one now. As we go to the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am, Zach Hayes, Jeremy Lolleman, Ben Parsons, Chase Coble, Noah Clark, Michael Pillar, Eli Childers, Max Fernandez, Jason Lipscomb, Jake Froman, Jack Joy, Dustin Simpson, and Jonathan Johnson in 10 seconds. And they're off. FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am. Chase Coble's been the whole shot master. Is he going to make it happen again here today? The 318 of Chase Coble from West Sunbury, Pennsylvania on the Low Jacks Yamaha Cycle Sales backed ride. It is the 258 class. Coming up next, it is riders like JoJo Cunningham, Dakota DeVore, Braden Nolet, Michael DeLusa, Jonathan McDougall, Neil Inman, Zachary Davidson, Bubs Tasha. 10 seconds. Gavin Simon, Benjamin Wright, Bolton B. Roth, Alex Luger, Brandon Wyant, Norman Connors, Jordan White, Tanner Collins, Dalton Seals, Logan Kiddock, Cole Whitmer, Joshua Tack, Tristan Landrum, Trevor Maley, and Kyle Dutton. Oh, 199 going to steal the show. That is Zach Davidson from Iron Station, North Carolina on the factory Husqvarna, backed by Dunlop Tires, and Chad Davis Racing. Open A class coming up next. Nathan Rector, Chase Hayes, Will Siebenpiper, also Evan Earl. 10 seconds. Tyler Braniff, Ezra Prine, Dawson Nixon, Zachary Nash, Tyler Soriano, Tanner Whipple, Johnny Babbitts, Trenton Boffman, Jake Green, Hutch Jenkins, Nate Miser, Kenton Coleman, Kobe Davis, Dylan Carano, also Marshall Fox, and Joshua Ellis. 27, I believe, of Nathan Rector, if I'm not mistaken, from Marionville Power Sports, Moose Racing, and Max's back ride from Rogersville, Missouri. 158 class coming up next. Toby Cleveland, Alex Mack, Lucas Valentino Benito, Randall Urban, Jaden Donners. 10 seconds. Sean Myers, Cole Thorne, Hunter Smith, Blake Kohler, James Skinner, David Honowski, and Nathan Delaney. 150A. 213, Toby Cleveland from Aaron, New York, Fly Racing, John's Equipment Winner, and West Family Racing Banks ride. 4-stroke A lights. Tyler Palmer, Cooper Jones, Joshua Connor, Trevor Getz, Travis Raymond, Sam Hall, Max Russ, Alexander Patterson, Matthew Davis, Philip Daganese. 10 seconds. Russell Smith, Mitchell Owenby, Lucas Holb, Brennan Ryderwitz, Gary Inman, Lucas Machino, Samuel Hinkle, Joshua Guppy, Kobe Becker, Nicholas DiBartolo, Blaiston Moore, Jace Knopp, Grant Davis, and Caleb Baltimore. 922 of Grant Davis from the Shopin, PA on a Team Green Kawasaki. Backed by Babbitt's Online and Pro Circuit. Junior AB 25 plus class. Grant Maria, Austin Franklin, Tyler Brunton, Evan Maynard, Anthony Burbick, Thomas Caldwell, Jeremy Houston, Taylor Myers, Dakota Duran. 10 seconds. Jesse Kildo, Curtis Compton, Matt Modick, and Andrew Boggs. Junior AB 25 plus class off and rolling now. 2:03. Grabbing the early lead, Tyler Brunson from Troutman, North Carolina, bringing us to the vet A 30 plus class. Danny Hampel, Jeremiah Taylor, Joshua Wyatt, Joshua Knapp, Ryan Inman, Joshua Brown, Andrew Smith, Fabian Barada, Robert Johnson, Calliam Goodman, also James Bauer, Sean Royal, Sammy Dorson, Matthew White in 10 seconds. And the vet A are off and rolling, 30 plus into turn number 1. 14 riders deep. Sorted out now. It is going to be, little needle threading going on there. The 4:03, Joshua Brown from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, grabbing the early lead on that one. Senior A 40 plus class, Smiling Frank Messina, Shotgun Sean Remington, Larry Sylvia, Vinny Tomic, Surly Amancio, Todd Thompson. 10 seconds. Harley Anderson, Joe Dean, William O'Brien, Ignacio Labosa, Shane Lenning, and Jeremy Dexter. '59, Frank Messina, Smiling Frank as we know him around the GNCC world. Campbell Hall, New York, backed by Sickety Racing, Vision MX Gear, P27 Off-Road. Open B coming up next, Dylan Fleming, Miles Gefkin, Austin Hovetter, Garrett Maynard, Craig Oberholzer, Mike Hebron. 10 seconds. Chase Inman, Michael Scott, Dylan Douglas, John Hawkins, Matthew Harris, Jeffrey Russell, Landon Rogers, Jimmy Winterbottom, Jesse Carson, Austin Bruni, Jacob Maynard, Ryan Hemmick, Ryan Tucker, Michael Horwath, Burke Masiglia, and Jamison Hardy. 470, Landon Rogers from Lumberport, West Virginia on a prime compound back right. 4-stroke B lights, Anthony Blackburn, Hayden Schultz, Trevor Golden, Colby Dunham, Garrett Mundy, Ty Ely, JT Wright. 10 seconds. Levi Ward, Landon Harbin, Max Grant, Thomas Allen, Levi Self, Leroy Petrie, Austin Sentinel, Forrest Busby, Rayleigh Messer, Clayton Robbins, Nicholas Heisler, Robert Rosinski, and Caden Sims. Ooh, how's this one going to turn out, man? That's the 89, I should say, Trevor Golden from Dunbar, Pennsylvania, Miller Motorsports, FXR Fast Tracks Motor Company backed ride. That B 30 plus class, Adam Odell, Cody Hosta, Ernest Martin, Daniel Parlier, Mason Stevens, Jared Hall, Andrew Lowell, Brian Rezanowski. 10 seconds. Josh Koscheck, also Ryan Staney, Mike Funk, Nick Reck, also Tyler Click, Ryan Tite, Nathan Dickey, Patrick Johnson, Ambrose Kolaski, Andrew Taylor, Brandon Belcher, Bradley Roberts, and David Smith. I think, maybe not, look like a 780 possibly Brandon Belcher. That could be mistaken as we get to the Senior B 40 plus in 10 seconds. Leon Woodward, Charlie Becker, Ian Troublefield, Brent Maynard, also Joselton Ramos, Scott Sepkovic, Dave Yuglas, Steve Young, Chad Adkins, Adam Nastic, Felipe Branger, and Ray Hench. Scott Sepkovic out there in this one from armasport.com. Adam Nastic from Garfield Heights, Ohio on Elyria Fire Department point of view cycle, opening up the early lead. 10 seconds. 150B, Ryan Deal, Hayden Serena, Peyton Gwynn, Matthew Hollenbeck, Bailey Flynn, Trevor Miller, Brandon Farmer, Aiden Myers, Blaine Barrier, Jay Pitter, Carson Baggett, Paul Best, Caden Childers, and Carter Winland off and rolling. Three, 6, 8. Trevor Miller from East Canton, Ohio on the KTM. I believe may have crossed that stripe first. He was close to it. 250B, Ethan Dingle coming up along with John McGee, Tyler Shields, Austin Glass. 10 seconds. White Kiesler, Russell Anderson, William Patterson, Braden Sylvester, Chandler Taylor, Rodrigo Correa, Chase Davis, Rick Matsko, Tyler Hughes, Caleb Chambliss, Dylan Turner, Bailey Davis, Wyatt Bell, Matt Whitney, also along with Landon Beatty, John Fee, Austin Wells, Tyler Malton, Austin Metz, Dakota Cunningham. 531 out front. Colton Shields, Corbin Eubanks, Joshua Gannon, also Lane Whitmer, Cameron Madison, Samuel Gowen, Stad Workman, Andrew Emmon, and Billy Saglia. And that is going to be it. Wow, they went by pretty quick today. There you go, nearly 300 riders, 285 entries in today's event, and there goes 286, Mr. Jared Bolton as he goes on. The sweep lap out here today. Of course, round 5 well underway here, the Tiger Run GNCC. Glad you folks have joined us along the World Wide Web at RacerTV.com. Stick around. The big question is, can Grant Baylor get back on his winning ways? Will Stu Baylor also maybe take a win here? This was his first place for a win as well, and there are so many other unknown variables. How's it all going to pan out? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues right after this.
Hey guys, I'm Thad Duvall, and you're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do. But who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
This RacerTV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. I'm Mikey Waynes. You've already heard from our colleague, Mr. I'm talking to that one. Sorry, Adam. It's double task. You've already heard from my colleague, Mr. Rodney Tomlin, and we'll be joined by Johnny Gallagher here momentarily. This is round number 5 in Union, South Carolina. Welcome back. What a difference a couple months makes. Totally different looking track out there for these guys. This is the Dunlop Motorcycle Tires Tiger Run GNCC. And before we get started, if you're just tuning in, we'll recap for you. We'll take a look at our Specialized start recap or start replays. Starting with the XC1, we'll show you the XC2 and the XC3 as well, that 125 class. Ricky Towery with the waving of the green flag, and how about it? Jockeying for position, our XC1 riders. Welcome back to XC Racing, Thad Duval. Going up and getting it, the 989 in control. Ricky Russell, fantastic start for him, as well as Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor. You're going to be seeing those guys fighting. Everybody wants this one, getting into the meat of the season. XC2 replay coming at you. Strong XC2 class. Been a fun one to watch. Johnny Gerard, fantastic ride from him in round 4. We'll see if we can have some more of that here today in round number 5. But snagging the whole shot and early lead was Liam Draper. So Liam Draper, man, due for a podium, due for a win. And behind him in the number 2 spot was Mike Wachowski. Mike Wachowski had a few more downs than ups this season. We'll see if he can rebound today and get things clicking out there in the XC2 class. And finally, of course, the FMF XC3, the 125 class, arguably the best sounding class out there. Everybody loves the sound of the 125 singing through the woods here in South Carolina. And who else is it? Throwing up, well, rockstar hands, Chase Colville. The man is automatic in the XC3 class. He has got these starts absolutely dialed. Can he go out there and get the win today, make it his first win of the season? Chase Colville got the starts dialed. We'll see if he can complete all 3 hours. And there you go. There was a Specialized start recap for you. And we'll jump in here and take a look at the track map. If you remember back in round number 1, this looks different. We are running some of the same track, but generally speaking, a lot of track out there that we're running that we have not ran in a number of years. So this has been a good one. It's dusty. There's some hard pack out there. It's going to be a gnarly GNCC. And, of course, our featured spots on the track, the FMF PowerPoint and the Monster Mile. As we always say, may not be a whole mile, but you can rest assured it's going to feel like that or more. So welcome back to GNCC round number 5, the Tiger Run GNCC. Our XC1 riders out there rolling through lap number 1, kind of setting the stage as we come into this one today, thinking about where we're at in the season. Of course, Ben Kelly, we could take a look at that, is our points leader in the overall as far as points standing go. And I think we're going to take a look at our overall standings here. They're getting that dialed in. So, again, Ben Kelly, your points leader on the season, off that little mulligan, if you will, in round 3 that I know he'd love to have back. Has got him sitting in the number 2 spot. Grant Baylor with the win in round 1, sitting with 80 points. Ashburn, been fairly consistent, but look to see Ashburn jumping back up on the podium here soon. And Stu Baylor, the man with a horrible start to the season, but he's doing what he's got to do. He's got the axe out. He's chipping away at the lead. 2 wins in a row coming in here to Big Buck, where you got to think a Baylor is a favorite. Wouldn't you think, Johnny?
Absolutely, Mikey. You know, with obviously Grant making that big statement here at round 1 just 2 months ago, and then boy, Stu's just been making statements every weekend, it seems like, with those 2 back-to-back wins, obviously putting kind of momentum in his favor. And it's hard to really look at those points and not think, wow, he's only, 21 points back.
So, yeah, Stu Baylor, like we said, doing what he needs to do to get himself back in this one. But as we come into it, the social media has been quiet. We've been kind of quiet, but quietly out front, and that's probably just how he likes it, is Ben Kelly. And coming into today's race, we actually had a chance to catch up with him and get the word from his mouth.
Yeah, so it's been a good start to the season. Here we are at round 5, and I'm leading the championship in the XC1 class, which is awesome. I honestly can't ask for much more than that. But overall, really, I haven't been happy with how the first 4 rounds have gone. I guess I'd say I'd have 2 good rounds and then 2 kind of not so good, mediocre, just where I've struggled and had things happen. But yeah, it's been frustrating for sure. But I had 3 good weeks coming into this round and had a lot of fun, feeling good. And now for this round, all I want to do, honestly, is win. It's about it. It's if I can win the races and run up front, the rest of the year will pan out how I want it to. It's a long season, and yeah, honestly, all I want to do is win.
Well, we got a little Ricky Bobby action going on there. It's checkers or records, first or last.
That's
all
right.
I want to do is win.
If you ain't first, you're last. So Ben Kelly, though, in control of the season, it's a tight points race. There's so many riders still in it. Into this far into round number 5, normally I feel like, Johnny, at this point, we're almost talking about, well, Caleb Russell's out front, and then who's going to get second is kind of the debate. This year, totally different, which we kind of knew that coming into the season.
Well, and even if you look at past, wasn't dominating at this point in the season, typically we would see him in the points lead by now, but regardless, if there was 2 guys, it was a surprising, and like maybe a 3rd guy with an outside shot, still within 20, 30 points or so, but by this time it things had really sorted themselves out in the championship. And Ben Kelly, obviously, with that points lead, only 3 points over Josh Strang, and then Grant Baylor, all those guys real close there, right, that top 3. Jordan Ashburn about 10 points behind Grant Baylor, so still in the mix here. And here we go. And here is your leader on screen, the 212 of Ricky Russell. We've seen this out of Ricky a couple times this season. Getting a good start, leading with good pace, but, right behind him, there's the man with Baylor. Monster Energy Mile, the Monster Mile. It's a pretty cool little step-up jump out of that section there. And, wow, those 2 have distanced themselves already here.
Yeah, they're trying to check out. And if you saw the intros, John, I don't know if you saw the starts.
I did not.
Internet viral sensation Ginger Billy, who's a comedian online, rode on the back of Stu's bike to the starting line, which was pretty funny. So he has shed Ginger Billy, for those out there familiar with him. And now it's time to go to work right here. And I believe that is a 5:30 right there, Ben Kelly. So, wow, a gap. Yeah, a gap between second and third.
A gap, and I'll tell you what, this is exactly what Ben Kelly was wanting to avoid. Spent most of the last 3 weeks with him, and he knows how dangerous Stu is when he gets out front. There's Lane Michael now back into the Monster Mile, just a little further back. So that is our 4th place rider, the top 4 through. So 2 Ampro. Oh, Lane struggling a little bit with that log crossing before that step up. Okay, Jordan Ashburn now in the 5th place spot. So the top 5 are through. Mikey, interesting to note, we see some gaps between riders. Grant Baylor, 6th, lap 1. He's hanging with the leaders. That's a good spot for him. If he can stay there, he's riding a little bit extra momentum, a little bit extra confidence today. So the 6 through there. There's Grant up and through that shot there. Josh Strang all the way back in 8th, so surely not where he wants to be. He's got some wood to chop. That spot. Liam Draper, the leader in XC2.
I was going to say, am I crazy or did we miss that?
I did not see that.
I hadn't seen that either.
It is possible if I didn't see Thad, but it's possible if Thad, perhaps there's Mike Witkowski out here in the fields and in the lead still, the number 212 of Ricky Russell on that Coastal Racing gas. And Ricky's been working really hard the last couple weeks. I've spent some time with him. I know he's been pretty frustrated with his results so far. He feels like he has the speed, but he just hasn't been able to translate it into results. There behind him, the 514 Ampro Yamaha, Stu Baylor. And, man, kind of reminiscent of 3 weeks ago. Josh Strang, Stu Baylor out.
Oh, yeah.
But this time it's Ricky Russell that's out there leading the way and setting a heck of a pace right now because these guys are just riding away from the 3rd place route. Now, we don't know where Ben Kelly was earlier in the lap, so maybe he's made some moves, but he has got a big chunk of time to make up. We'll see these guys coming down. This is another hill climb here down. This is literally just across from the Monster Mile. You can see the Monster Mile on the other side just to the left there. This is the FMF Power Point, and they should be coming here and probably about 20 seconds or so.
So, Johnny, talking about this track, obviously we were here for round 1 for Big Buck. You can just tell by the folks watching at home, it looks different. Obviously, now there's leaves on the trees. But talk a little bit about this track. From talking to Jared Bolton, sounds like running a little bit of the same stuff, but we're running a lot of track that we haven't ran in a number of years that we're running this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or this round, I should say.
It's put together very differently. We've run some ground that we haven't run in years. Here comes our leader. Here is still the 212 of Ricky Russell on the hammer and right up that FMF power point. Behind him, we'll expect to see the 514 Ampro Yamaha of Stu Baylor. And right like that on cue, there he is. The man with 2 wins coming into today, trying to track down Ricky Russell, trying to get out front, surely wanting some clean air. I didn't get a stopwatch going, but they'll be coming to the finish here soon, and we'll get a split for you guys at home. Not so much the split between them because they can see each other, but the big story here, Mikey, is going to be how much time have they put on the field in just 1 lap. Now, it is dusty, no question, but this gap has not come from dust. This gap has come from these guys just dropping the hammer and riding away from everyone behind them. And, man, look at this gap. I mean, they are just absolutely laying it down right now.
On another planet right now. There's no doubt about that. I think I see the third-place rider right there.
It is, the 530.
Ben Kelly.
Ben Kelly getting a pit board there, too, so he knows exactly what he's got to do now. So 44 seconds is what we're told here. Ryan Amancio doing the stopwatch work for us. Ricky Russell through VP Fuels Pro Row and back into the woods, leading, and he is going to be, this is a very dusty section of pines that they're going into, so he's going to be doing everything that he can do to try and make all the dust that he can to slow Stu Baylor down. It's like a smoke screen, you know, when you're behind there. There's Jordan Ashburn now up the FMF PowerPoint. Last we saw him, he was back in that 5th place spot. 5th or 6th place spot. And Grant Baylor, it actually looks like, Baylor was behind Ashburn last time. So still looks like those two still in the same positions. Now we see Ben Kelly through VP Fuels Pro Row, so 44 seconds back of the leader is what we're told. We'll get an official split on that when they check in here in just a few moments. But he takes a look over his shoulder, wants to see who's behind him. But what he really wants, there we see, look at that.
Shake it off. Shake it off. Mama's telling him.
Yeah, Mama's telling him to shake it off. Not a great first lap for Josh Strang, our 2nd place rider from 3 weeks ago at Camp Coker. Lane Michael, they're still in 4th and still in touch with Ben Kelly. He's going to try and hitch a ride with that 530. There is the 5th place ride of Ashburn, and right behind him we believe will be the 314 of Grant Baylor, winner for here just 2 months ago. So Grant Baylor, I mean, that's a pretty good first lap.
That's what I was going to say. If you're Grant Baylor, that is a darn good first lap, because he's a guy we normally talk about, well, here come the XC2 guys, and then he turns it on late. So, hey, if you're Grant and you're there early, you got to be feeling really good right now, because that 3rd hour is where he shines.
Absolutely. Speaking of XC2, the 282 of Mike Wachowski on screen. Oh, and he has made the pass on the 198 of Liam Draper. New leader in XC2. A lot of pit boards for Josh Strang there, and basically what they're all saying is, hey, let's make something happen here.
Go
109 of Thorne Devlin there, right behind Josh Toth. So, and here is your defending champion and points leader, Johnny Gerard, the points leader. Craig DeLong there coming by on screen would be 4th place in that XC2 Pro Lights class. There's Lyndon Snodgrass, the 178, and there is the points leader, Johnny Gerard, the 969, that Coastal Racing gas machine. Followed there, looks like Ryder Lafferty possibly there, and then that is Benjamin Herrera there, the Sherco rider, followed by, it's either Barnes or I believe Barnes and Barbosa, pretty close there. That one is Barbosa, Rui Barbosa, and Jesse Barnes there in front of him. So here is Johnny, that's Ricky Russell. Thought it was Johnny Gerard there for a minute. Out and in another field section, and coming to a yellow flag waving Ricky Towery. This will be 1 lap complete, and we'll get a split as they come through and check in. Mikey's trying to get the live scoring updating right now, but he is through, has a little bit of a gap now on Stu Baylor. Not much, but probably 3-4 seconds. And Stu Baylor looking very comfortable back there in the 2nd place spot, Mikey.
Timing and scoring says 6.084 is the distance between
Mikey,
those two riders.
Look at that dust. That's 2 riders through there, and it is just a brownout going into those woods.
I can vouch for the dust on the finish line between yesterday and today. Can't breathe. I can breathe out of 1 nostril, and I don't even want to talk about the shower I took last night. So I sympathize with these fellas.
Ben Kelly riding very much with a sense of urgency, I would say. We're going to get a split here, but I think Ryan Amancio is going to be about spot on with that 40-some seconds. It's a pretty good gap there. We got third place checked in, Mikey?
36.884. I want to get real scientific about it, so we'll call it 37.
So if it was 44 before and it's 36 now, he's made up 8 seconds. Oh, look at this. Lyndon Snodgrass in for some adjustments, and this is something beyond just a regular pit stop here. He is just now in VP Fuels Pro Row, so he has definitely lost some time. That was one of the Phoenix Racing Hondas going by, so he lost several spots there in that exchange of whatever happened. And now we see Jordan Ashburn, I think we may have missed. Did fourth place Lane Michael
Lane did check in. Lane checked in ahead of him. 15-second gap between him and Kelly. And then Jordan Ashburn clicked in there in the number 5 spot. 12-second gap between him and Lane Michael. And the Grizzly Grant Baylor checking in 6th, and about a 9-second gap. So boy,
Mikey, let's do the math here.
Yeah.
Grant Baylor, how far is he out of the lead, give or take? Let's run some numbers here. Look at the elapsed time.
Yeah, you're looking at about a little more than a minute.
So just over a minute out of the lead. That is not bad for Grant Baylor. Grant is capable. Josh Strang, not that far back. You know, he's getting the pit board, shake it off, get it together. You have to go kind of a thing. But, you know, definitely not where he wants to be, but definitely still within striking distance of a podium position. Couple good laps, couple passes, and he could be right back in this thing. That is Trevor Bollinger, I believe. So that means we do not have Thad Duvall checked in, nor have we seen him on camera. We'll see if we can get an update at some point on that. But as of right now, no Thad Duvall checked in here.
Which is a heartbreaker. So, yeah, just got word from Adam Gordon at about the in between the 8 and the 9, working on the bike.
Well, I hate to say that. That's a heartbreaker, but I'm going to be honest with you, Mikey.
Yeah.
I'm going to say what we were all thinking. We hope he didn't go down.
Yes.
Sounds like he was working on the bike. Hey, that's a rough day, but they'll get that bike fixed. Maybe he'll be able to get out there, make some clicker changes, get just more comfy. That raced himself back into race pace. Obviously, a heck of a performance here 2 months ago, second place at round 1, and then it's just been a series of injuries and crashes for Thad since then. So we're happy to hear at least the initial reports say that he has not crashed, no issues with him, just the bike. So he'll get that fixed. Either get back out there or not, depending on what the situation is. Leaders through at there on our Yamaha live drone shot. Ricky Russell still leading the way on the 212 Coastal Racing Gas. Second place still Stu Baylor Jr. on that 514 Ampro Yamaha. And now we see our third place rider, Ben Kelly, on the 530 FMF Red Bull KTM. And looks like he's putting in a charge. 44 seconds, Ryan Amancio told us. Scoring told us 36.8 just a little bit later. So he made up about 8 seconds there. Can he continue to chip away at that gap, Mikey?
He's closing in. These guys know. What's interesting to kind of go back to two guys, to Josh Strang and Grant Baylor, where they're at right now in the XC1. I saw a while back, was it 2 or 3 rounds ago, they were talking about basically some effort some other riders were putting in early, and I didn't realize you could win the race on the first lap. That tells me both of those guys understand that, hey, it's a 3-hour race, so I'm pacing myself. They got to be feeling really good right now, but who do you not want out front? You don't want a guy like Ben Kelly or Stu Baylor getting out front early, so they got to kind of hope that doesn't happen. But I don't know. Can't worry about what's happening in front of you, behind you. Worry about yourself. But with that said, yeah, Ben Kelly certainly on the charge. He wants to be up front, and when you look at the point standings coming into round 5, he needs to be out front. There's about 4 guys out there that need to be out front right now. It's setting up for a good one.
Well, and you know, obviously the what you're referring to there was a little incident a couple races ago with Josh Strang and you know, mentioning that, you know, about trying to win the race on the first lap. The irony is, in that, the very next race back, he pretty well set himself up for the battle for the win with that sprint that he and Stu Baylor put in on the first and second lap, because it looked like, if you look at the lap times, if you look at the riding posture of these guys, it looked like Ben Kelly had a little something for them on lap 2, but then they sprinted again, broke away, and Ben, I really believe, nothing against Ben, I think he'll learn from it, but I think he broke on that mentally broke on that second lap. When he was sprinting, not making up time on those guys, I think that's when the mistakes started to come. I think that's when the frustration came, and I think that's kind of when his day got derailed. So the sprinting early, you know, this is something Stu's kind of known for, and I tell you what, I think these guys are going to have to adapt, because if Stu keeps doing this, you know, granted, it's not Stu and Josh this time, but if you look at it, it's always Stu. He's never coming from the back to win these races. He gets up front early, maybe not the first lap, but early in the race, sets the pace he wants to ride, tries to drop himself drop these other riders, so it's just himself and a few others. That gap is not 36 seconds.
No. He's chipping. He's got the axe out. To Stu Baylor's point, he talked a little bit about it heading into this season and late last season when he was clicking off those wins. Once he jumped on board with Ampro Yamaha, he kind of took a play out of the Caleb Russell playbook of, I was so focused on racing everybody. I was so focused on everyone out on the track, and I changed that and started thinking, I just got to beat the guy next to me. And next thing I know, I'm in third, and I'm in second, and then I'm out front. And then my focus is okay, I can now control the pace of this race. I'm in control. I'm in the driver's seat, and that seems to have made a world of difference for Stu Baylor.
Well, and I'll tell you what, the Jordan Ashburn by there in 5th lane. Michael was 4th. Grant Baylor still there in 6th, and up close, to those guys still within striking distance. Probably less than a minute or so out of lead, like we talked about. So Grant's still within striking distance. Can't write him off because he won here 2 months ago, and I think he knows this property well. South Carolina homeboy, but man, his brother up there had him, also a South Carolina guy. Corey Buttrick, tip of the hat to him.
Heck yeah.
Doing real well here on this beta. Had a great ride going last race. Got to talk to Corey just the other day. Josh Strang now up to the rear wheel of Corey Buttrick, so trying to make some passes.
So just got word from our producer. Sounds like Thad Duvall back on the bike and going.
Speaking of Rockstar Husky, we don't get to talk about these guys much. Trevor Bollinger on screen. They're solid, looking like he is about 8th place now in that XC1 class, but within striking distance, the guys in front of him. And we expect to see Trevor get better each race. He's kind of racing himself back into shape after that knee surgery. But back to the Stu Baylor, back to the sprinting early thing. Yeah. This is something, everybody wins races and wins championships their own way. Some guys, you go to Chris Borich, we got to talk about him. All-time race win leader, sure. Period. Bikes, quads, doesn't matter. He's won the most of these things ever out of anyone. And his was just a real simple formula. I ride my own race, and I make sure I can see whoever's winning. Doesn't matter who it is. And then on the last lap, I go faster than they do. That way of winning races worked for him for 6 championships, 75 wins. Yep. 75 times he made that work. That was his. But the guy that started beating him, Walker Fowler, changed the game. Yeah. Not that no one else had ever done it this way, but changed the game on Chris, because what he was able to do, get out front, sprint early, break away. Chris wasn't able to key off him, and Walker just started racking up wins by doing it literally not on the first lap, doing it in the first turn. He would get the whole shot, drop the hammer, get the lead, ride away. And he would win all these races, and people go, well, I don't understand. Nobody can hang with him because they can't see him. They can't pace off him. Speaking of, this guy trying to do exactly that, and look at the dust that he's making. Ricky Russell, the 212 Coastal Racing Gas, out front leading the way here. Stu Baylor,
fearless.
Still just charging through the dust and saying, oh no, Ricky, you're not getting away from me. 4 miles into lap number 2. But I think that's what Stu's really trying to do. I think he's trying to push the pace early on these guys, because it's a lot easier, as you pointed out, Mikey, to race one guy than it is to try to race 4 or 5. And if you pace yourself and, everybody kind of stays in a pack and battles amongst themselves, there's one mistake, you lose that many more positions. If you sprint early, but right now, Ben Kelly it seemed like he had made up some time and now maybe lost a little bit again. 19 seconds, Ryan Amancio is telling us from the background
timing
here.
Official.
Our stopwatch guy, Ryan Amancio, lining it out for us. 19 seconds back is what we're told. He'll be checking in here. We'll see him again at the Monster Energy Mile coming up here soon. And Lane Michael hanging tough there in 4th.
Our leader, Ricky Russell, I couldn't help but think about his journey back to racing in the XC1 and that nasty, nasty crash he had last year in Georgia. And I kept thinking, when we went into Georgia this year, if I'm him, that's got to be on my mind. And he did talk about it a little bit and admitted it was in the back of his head, sketched him out a little bit. But it's also to that point where riders like Trevor Bollinger, riders like Thad Duvall right now, we talk about them getting back in race shape. I think we're beyond that now for Ricky Russell. Now it's time for him to start putting in the results. He's been racing long enough back now. He got the monkey off the back down in Georgia. So I'm not surprised at all to see Ricky Russell out in front doing what he's doing right now.
Well, we've already seen Ricky Russell leading this year, but being able to make it the full race, Ricky's frustration comes. And I think we got to kind of take the last round, round 4, and just throw it away for Ricky, because that crash was nasty. Oh, look at this. Josh Strang has made the pass on Corey B. Corey B still hanging on, though, trying to take a little draft and get himself pulled maybe a little closer to the front, but still hanging there solidly in that would be 6, 7... 7th, 6th, and 7th, I believe those guys are running, or 7th and 8th, sorry. Oh, here they coming the other way. There is Josh Strang. Corey Buttrick right behind him, and again, tip of the hat to Corey Buttrick. Oh, I was starting to mention, Corey Buttrick had the opportunity to talk with him. He had a great ride going just 3 weeks ago at Camp Coker. Sounded like they had a starter issue. I don't know if we ever got to talk about that on air, but he lost. There's Trevor Bollinger, another one of those Rockstar Husky riders we were just talking about. But he lost 11 minutes, and then just kind of tried to charge his way back. But he seemed pretty enthused. He said the team's putting in a lot of effort.
Yeah.
They're testing with him. They're sending him the parts he needs. They're really trying to make that bike and his effort better. There's Liam Draper, and I think Mike Wachowski was still ahead of him going the other way there. So still, the 282 we'll see as they come back down the other direction. We think it will be the 282 of Mike Wachowski coming here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there he is, the 282 of Mike Wachowski on that Ampro Yamaha leading the way. Rough couple races for Mike. I think he got dehydrated at the last round, but this is a great start for Liam. Liam's one we usually see kind of grinding up through the pack as the race goes on, but looks like he got a great start, got out there, and he's right in touch with the leader, Mike Wachowski. Actually led much of the first lap, now in the second place spot, and they've pulled out a little bit of a gap over the rest of that XC2 Pro Lights class.
They are certainly on the move. Well, we're moving right along, about 41 minutes into this 3-hour GNCC. It is Ricky Russell out in front, Stu Baylor in tow, and Ben Kelly got the X out, trying to chop away at that lead. Can Ricky Russell hang on, snag his first win of the season? GNCC on RacerTV continues after this.
I'm Ricky Russell. You're watching GNCC live on RacerTV.com.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do. But who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond. Because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
This RacerTV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
I don't really drink beer, but when I do party, I go pretty hard. I just straight liquor, probably drink like 5 or 6 times a year, so I usually try to make it count, like good times, kind of puke everywhere, but it's all good. Yeah, for sure.
The best type of beer, honestly, I don't drink, so that would be it's a pretty easy one for me.
Best time to drink a beer would be as soon as we come across the finish line after a 3-hour race. I feel like that's a good way to get some calories back in you.
Last person to make me nervous, probably Grant at Big Buck, the last couple laps for sure. But other than that, really, just don't pay attention to that stuff.
The last person to make me feel nervous, I guess I'd have to say my wife again. She's always got the bluff on me. So
last person to make me nervous, probably have to be Caleb Russell. We were at Sprint Enduro last year and came down. I think we went to the last test, like less than a second apart. So yeah, he was the last one to make me nervous, and unfortunately he got the best of me.
First time on a bike was the pink and white PW50. I have a picture of it, and just bonsai'd into a ditch and didn't pick up a bike again until I was maybe like 8 years old. I think I was like 2.5 at the time and didn't want nothing to do with a bike, and got a quad, rode a quad till I was probably like 8 years old, and got on a bike, and here we are.
The first memory I have of riding a motorcycle was in my backyard on a JR50. I just remember riding around the yard and getting kind of wild on it because I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was a memorable moment, that's for sure.
First memory of me racing or riding, for instance, would probably be in my backyard of the house. Got going on a XR50, I think it was, and plowed straight into a doghouse. So that's probably the first memory, and unfortunately the crash has never stopped.
Welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin in studio now, along with Mikey Waynes and Johnny Gallagher, and I love those little tidbits there. Speaking of, the last person to make me nervous was you, Mikey Waynes.
What did I do? I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
Mikey makes me nervous all the time.
I know.
The way he looks at me.
There's our leaders. That's not a new lead. That's our leaders. A second place leaders coming through. Oh, I'm just getting a report that is a new leader. So we got Stu Baylor out front now in the Monster Mile at the 8-mile marker. If you're wondering what happened to Thad Duvall, real quick, an update on that. I know he ripped the gas line off. How that happened, I'm not sure. And I know he's having some struggles since that point and still trying to traverse the trails right now. There's Ricky Russell back in the number 2 spot. Looks like the gap is starting to open up quite a bit. And listening to the race call as I was making my way back to the RacerTV studios, man, I'm kind of shocked this gap has already opened up. This must have been some sort of mistake like what we saw Walker Fowler make yesterday to allow that kind of time. There's the 5:30 of Ben Kelly. I don't know if that gap is tightened up between second and third yet or not, but Kelly is, I don't think, is as far behind as what it appeared to be when I was listening to you guys call the race a few moments ago.
Yeah, he was, the gap was about 44, 45 seconds, comes to the finish line about 36.5 seconds, and it's kind of fluctuated, I would say probably less less than or more than a 5 seconds from there and 5 seconds forward. So
well, it looks like now I just kind of did a split there. He's about 30 seconds behind Ricky Russell, who's about 20 seconds behind. So he's probably about 50 seconds behind Stu, but only about 30 behind Ricky. So there's Lane Michael, rider that we said, he said he crashed himself into a doghouse.
Yes.
You ever rode a dirt bike? So we got Thad in the ditch and Lane in a doghouse.
Yes. And Thad with a quad.
And Thad, I was going to talk about that a little bit later. Yeah. Thad obviously tried to take after his dad there. Bad Chad. We could have had little bad Thad on four wheels. Bad man right there. Grant Baylor trying to do some work here early to keep himself in touch, because we know Grant is incredibly dangerous when it comes to those final, well, especially that final hour, but even the last 2 hours there, Grant really tends to pick it up.
Well, I'll tell you what, right now with the freight train, Josh Strang right behind him, if those two get locked together and they start moving forward together, you could, I tell you, I think they would both be gunning for podiums today. So all three of those guys up front better be looking out. The only guy that might have a little bit of saving shot right now might be Stu Baylor, because he is really stretching his legs out front right now and increasing that lead quite a bit over Ricky Russell. There's the 121 of Corey Buttrick, which, by the way, I want to say thanks to his mechanic last night, Josh Siegel, and also Josh Allman over the Beta Pits. When the KTM support truck had left, I had a little issue still with my son's brakes, believe it or not. They found a problem that it was just a little piece of plastic in the banjo bolt, and they got that taken care of. Unfortunately, that wasn't the only problem that those brakes had. They got him brakes last night. He raced this morning without brakes, but KTM, the support truck, you got to appreciate the fact that KTM has that out here, because they'll really help out a lot of riders in a pinch like that. So thanks to Rob and Mark and all the guys over at KTM for the great work that you guys are doing in the GNCC Racing Nation, for all the KTM and Husqvarna support and Gas guys. It really doesn't go unnoticed, I promise you.
Here we see our XC2 leader on that Ampro Yamaha out front, the 282, Mike Witkowski. And looks like he stretched it out just a little bit. Last we knew, Liam Draper was pretty much right behind him on that 198 Teely Energy racing machine, but he has opened it up just a little bit. Draper now about 2 turns behind him there, 3 turns actually, so it probably equates to at least 10 or 12 seconds. He's just slowly starting to inch away from the 198, but still a very solid ride for Draper here early.
Yes.
A rider that tends to kind of get stronger in the middle of the race. He seems to struggle a little bit in the beginning and the end, but now that he's right there within sight of the lead, hopefully that'll pull him along and he can stay in contention for a win today. This guy right here definitely in contention for a win. Stu Baylor through the auxiliary pro pits, Rodney. Yes, no doubt. And again, going to be tough to break in. You talking about those riders that are strong like that. And Grant Baylor is the same kind of rider. I think in 6th place right now, he's in a pretty good position. I think that also Liam Draper in a great position. Watching him get that whole shot, seeing that he's still running a solid, steady pace up front here on this second lap of racing. And that's pretty impressive to me. But one rider I want to talk about is Mike Witkowski, who got the win here, if I'm not mistaken, at the opening round. And since that time, I mean, he didn't have horrible races, but we've seen struggles start to arise. Talking with Randy Hawkins on Friday, we were talking about a few things and talking about Lane's big win. I did it again. Lane's big win over there at the U.S. Sprint Enduro last weekend, and how much confidence that was a big boost for him. And we got to talking about Mike Witkowski and his position. And he was talking that Mike actually, he thinks, peaked at round number 1, and they're afraid that he may have been overtraining, and he has really been doing more damage to himself. So they actually have scaled back his training in the last couple of weeks, trying to keep him from getting on that verge of Epstein-Barr and things of that nature.
Sometimes you can go too fast. Yeah, you guys talk about that all the time. I can go 100 miles an hour, but hey, I seem to do better when I reel it in and go 80. Yeah. I mean, that might be exactly what that is right there. And I know Witkowski, if you remember back to last season, he was in that dogfight of a battle with him and DeLong. Round 13 when we were in West Virginia, he had the penalty assessed to him, which the outcome of the race didn't really change that. But he had all season off season to think about that coming into this year, and it definitely definitely weighed heavy on him. So it's,
well, I'll tell you, the pitfall of overtraining is something easy to fall into, especially whenever you're riding at this level, right? And I mean, you take into consideration the science of this sport and where it's come from as far as the physical aspect of it and the training aspect of it. These guys, you know, they think I got to train, I got to be on the edge, I got to be right there all the time. But there's also that fluctuation. You've got to know when to lay back and when to push and things like that to keep that level consistent. Riders like Caleb Russell in particular might be a prime example of a rider can do. Ben Kelly's another rider I think that's been able to achieve things like that. These guys, they figured out that training regimen to a point where it's not overtraining, but yet they're still pushing themselves to the limits that need to be pushed to.
Yeah, Rodney, you know, there's so much to be said for that. And we actually did just see those leaders check through their Stu Baylor through VP Fuel Pro Row, getting a pit board from Corey McDonald's mechanic there. It was exactly 10 seconds he was ahead, and Ricky Russell, and then 35 seconds back to Ben Kelly. So Ben Kelly made up a little bit of time in that section. Yeah. We think it was about 50 when we saw him last. Now, we did see Stu Baylor on screen there grab a water bottle, but that was only a couple seconds there. So Ben Kelly and Ricky Russell made up a little bit of time on Baylor there, but he's getting pit boards from the man, Corey McDonald, telling him where he's at. Back to that training thing, though, you know, with the guys, Ben Kelly, another one that the rumor kind of on the street was maybe he got a little bit tired last race, and definitely no one would ever question Ben Kelly's work ethic. So I think he and his trainer, Charlie Mullins, along with team manager Auntie Collin, kind of took a look at what they're doing and said, all right, we got this 3-week block. Let's figure some things out. I know Ben Kelly and Josh Toth had a boot camp with Charlie Mullins for the last 2 weeks coming to this event. But when we say boot camp, people immediately think like all grind, because yeah, that's what the preseason boot camps are. I think this one was really maybe tailored more towards figuring out exactly like you said, Rodney. There is Grant Baylor on screen and still charging, still trying to get back within shot, but he is over a minute, almost a minute and a half, about a minute 15 back from Big Bro Stu. So continuing to lose a little bit of ground there that lap, about another 15 or 20 seconds since we saw him last. And here comes the 114. Josh Strang still on the charge, he's getting a little bit closer to Grant though, so he's making up ground. And Rodney, you pointed out, if those two could get together, could be a pretty lethal combination.
Yeah, no doubt.
But, you know, the thing with Wachowski and the training, and Mikey, I think something you pointed out there, the issue with him being penalized at the last round 13 last year, you know, we kind of saw that rear its head again at round 3.
Yep.
And I personally felt that his kind of the way he seemed to react to it may have even affected him into round 4. I know they said dehydration and fatigue, but I personally feel that judging by his reaction on social media and just how he kind of handled it, I think he let it get in his head. And I think, you know, being penalized for the same thing twice in 4 rounds of racing. So it looks like he's reset today. And, you know, that's sometimes what you got to do. You got to just get yourself into that mindset where you're out there racing. You don't care about the drama.
Sure.
You don't care about what's going on. You're putting your laps in. You're hitting your marks. And Mike is a phenomenal talent, works incredibly hard. And I think right now, leading the way, he's trying to make a statement here today. And it could be a big one the way he's starting to pull away.
It's crazy to that point of social media. We talked a little bit about this yesterday with Bryce and Neil. And it's this added element that we haven't had in years past. And we have for the last few. Kids out there are probably like, wait, there was life before social media. But the reality is it's added pressure for professional athletes across all sports, because now you've got, you know, half the fans are out there chirping in your ear, hey, you're the guy, you can go out there, you can whip anybody's butt. And then the other half is, you're terrible, you suck, you're awful, blah, 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 blah. So it's this mental game that they now have to figure out as a young professional athlete, how to course that and be an adult about it. And sometimes it's tough for us. It's tough for even adults. Look anywhere on social media, you'll see that. But it's just growing pains.
To your point, Mikey, I think there's maybe not even just in the bike side, in all of racing. I think there's only been 2 top-tier athletes that have been kind of immune to social media and the reaction to it. One of those, Caleb Russell.
Yep.
He absolutely did not care.
Right.
Like, social media could call him the golden boy. They could say he was the worst thing ever. You know, he's a cheater, this, that, and the other thing. He was like, whatever, dude, I'm just going to go win. I'm going to do me. I don't really care what you people think. And it's not that he doesn't love his fans. It's not that he didn't love the sport. He just recognized the negativity that can come from social media. The other rider that's kind of immune to it, Stu Baylor. Not because he doesn't care, because everyone on social media loves Stu Baylor. So there is no negativity whatsoever. So he's just like, social media is the greatest thing ever. Now, it will be interesting to see as Stu just continue. We all know, Rodney, you know this as well as anybody. You've been calling these races, you know, forever. Mikey, you know this too. everybody loves an underdog. Stu Baylor still, to some degree, is the
an
underdog.
Yeah.
But
what
the way
happens?
he keeps winning, if he keeps winning like he has, the pace that he's been winning this last 6 months, if that keeps
Tides will turn.
People are going to get tired. Not that Stu doesn't deserve it, and he's not working, but people are going to be like, man, we want to see somebody else win.
Yeah.
And then the tides will turn. We'll see. I mean, he's still going to have his fans just like everyone does, but people love the underdog. No one likes to see the same guy win.
But the one element that I think Stu has in his account is the fact that, people love him no matter what. That's a picture of Duvall on the side of the track. You can see they're down there looking at that fuel line right now from that picture. And you can also see it somewhat deflated Thad Duvall standing there holding his bike. Such a great start for him, and you have to think, he was really hoping to see things really prosper in his return back. And the way he started out, I mean, it looked like that we were going to see something pretty fancy out of him today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's been mentioned a lot in the last couple of weeks, even with kind of the grumbling of, hey, we think Thad's going to be back for this race. I think a lot of people in the industry, a lot of the fans, and surely a lot of those in the Husky or in Rockstar Husky camp and Thad Duvall's camp felt that this was Thad's year. With Caleb retiring, yes, Stu Baylor had all the momentum at the end of the season, but Thad's been kind of the guy. Right. Aside from Caleb, it was Thad and Caleb. It was Thad and Caleb. Thad and Caleb. Well, now with Caleb gone, this was Thad's year. Obviously, it's not panning out that way, and this, unfortunately, just kind of another chapter in the early season woes of Thad Duvall. But a healthy Thad Duvall is a dangerous Thad Duvall. Wouldn't be shocked to see him back up battling for podiums and wins here in just another couple of weeks, and he can use the rest of this race as testing, get some stuff dialed in.
Yeah, he's a rider that's got a lot of wins to his credit, and I see a lot more wins coming in, and to not have a championship yet is kind of surprising because, I mean, we have seen some good consistency out of him. The only problem is somewhere around 8, 9, or 10 every year we've seen, or the last few years, every other year or so, he's had those injuries that have kind of lingered through the offseason and made it a slow start, not giving him the opportunity to start as strong as what he could have had he not been injured coming in.
Hold on just a second here, Rodney. Grant Baylor coming through, and was that Lane Michael that just had gone out of shot, which means Grant Baylor has made some passes and made up some time. He is now closing in on the back of the 4th place ride of Lane Michael. When we last saw them check in, if we can see we'll be pulling this up here in a moment. And there is Josh Strang, so he is now pulled back away from Strang. Remember, we saw Strang was getting closer and closer to Grant Baylor, but now that gap has opened back up. Uh-oh. We're 1 hour and 1 minute into this. Somebody must have told Grant Baylor he got the first hour out of the way. Go fast.
Time to turn it on.
Seconds between first and second. 21 seconds back to the 3rd place position of Ben Kelly. Lane Michael was another 24.5 seconds. Jordan Ashburn was 17 seconds back in 5th. Then Grant Baylor was another 12 seconds back in the number 6 spot. So a couple of scenarios could have arisen here. Either Lane Michael's dropped back and Grant is closing in on him, or something happened to Jordan. Grant's got by him and is closing in on Lane Michael for that 4th place position. So we'll have to wait here for a few moments and get that all sorted out. But there are definitely something definitely going on back there in that 4th, 5th, and 6th place positions right now.
Yeah, I think oh no, it definitely wasn't we lost Jordan, because there's Lane Michael not too far behind, or it definitely wasn't that Jordan made the pass. So that was Lane right there, and I'm telling you, when I last saw him, pretty sure it was Grant was the next bike behind him and should be coming just about any second, and if so, he's made the pass on Jordan Ashburn.
Johnny and I talked about this early in the race. The two guys that, there's Ashburn right there.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
You must have just missed him.
I guess so.
I missed him.
But nonetheless, we talked about both Grant and Strang, guys that you see kind of middle of the pack early on, and they seem to push late. There's Grant Baylor on screen. So for them to have the start that they did, being up, 4th, 5th, back a little bit from that now, or as early as they were, look for those guys to really make a push that last hour and a half.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm noticing today, more so than yesterday, and Johnny, I'm sure it was quite dusty, but it didn't appear to be as dusty yesterday as what it appears today, and I think the temperatures are a little warmer as well, as the sun seems to be beating down a little brighter today.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, like you said, we're probably 6-8 degrees warmer today. The sun is definitely definitely kicking today, and it's drying things out even more, and that many more. And then Snodgrass back in. We saw them in. They were working on something on that clutch side just a lap ago. Now they've actually got the bleeder out, looking like they're bleeding. I wasn't actually aware that the Kawasaki's had a hydraulic clutch, but that sure looks like it's what they are working on.
Yep.
They're bleeding his clutch there, trying to...
Yeah, I got introduced to one of those bleeders last night.
Well, that was a brake bleeder, but same... Wow, I actually didn't know that. I thought the Kawasaki's were mechanical clutches with the lever.
Is that water dripping out of there too?
That would just be the brake fluid itself.
Okay.
They're dumping it in the top there, trying to bleed it. He must be having some clutch issues, so they're doing the best they can to get that sorted. But he's losing valuable time here in VP Fuels Pro Row and surely dropping out of the top 5, maybe even the top 10 in that the XC2 class. You can see his mechanic there, Garrett. Looks like they've got the whole crew over there doing all that they can do to try and get some fluid into that thing and blood. Look at this, Rodney. Baylor on screen. 4-mile marker leading the way.
All by himself still as we checked in. 16 seconds is what it was 4 miles ago at the finish line, Johnny. And as they go through the Yamaha section of the racetrack, there's no one in sight back there. I don't think the Stu has to worry about anyone just yet, or at least at the moment. And did they go inside? Nope, they're still... Josh Strang is in now. This looks like a front wheel problem of some sorts. Could be a tire, could be a brake.
This is not good news for the 114 machine.
Wow.
This is very, very... We'll have to see how much time he's lost, but judging on where he was at on the track, and he's going to have to go back there now, we're going to see him well outside the top 10 overall and potentially, well, surely outside the top 20. Not to say he couldn't come back and score some points, but this is a huge, huge hit to Josh Strang's.
Yeah, and Kawasaki got 2 bikes in the pits at the same time, splitting mechanic force up, so I'm sure it's going to make it a little more difficult. But the beauty of it is these guys are trained to work by themselves, so an extra set of hands is just that much more, and they're getting that tire in and out pretty quick. I don't know what a flat tire, I guess, would be the only thing, or a bent wheel would be the only things that I could think the reason that they would want to be changing that front wheel like that.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue is. I think we got Mikey Waynes on his way over there to try and get us an update. But we do know that as he is in there and time is clicking away, what we're going to see is Josh Strang in salvage mode, just like we saw, unfortunately, 2 rounds ago. They had to change that front brake system. He was outside the top 20, came back, and I think scored I can't remember if it was 11th or I think we've got the points here somewhere. But so Josh Strang sitting second in points. It was actually 9th. He came back to round 3 in the overall after being outside the top 20. So he's going to have another heroic ride like that to get himself at least into the top 20 to score some points, which is still, with the time he lost, I'd say shouldn't be too hard for him to get himself back into the top 20. But to get beyond that and get back up into the top 10. Oh, yeah, I think that he's just kind of...
that point in position.
Yep.
Well, right now it is... that point in position.
Yep.
Well, right now it is Stu Baylor out front of Ricky Russell. Ben Kelly back in the number 3 spot. Lane Michael in the number 4 spot with Jordan Ashburn in 5th. Grant Baylor trying to reel him in right now back there in that 6th place position. The question is, will anyone be able to slow down the momentum of the 514 of Stu Baylor? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues from the Tiger Run after this.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida, where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lieb, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
Hello, my name is John Coffey. I'm an AMSOIL dealer from Southern Virginia. Today's AMSOIL Spotlight is going to be on our oil change kits for the most popular Can-Am ATVs and UTVs. And you can see that there's 3 different kits, and they vary only slightly by the amount of oil that's in each one of the kits. I've taken the liberty to open one of the kits up so you can see exactly what you're going to get when you're ready to use one. Inside the kits, of course, you're going to have the motor oil, and we'll talk about a little bit more about that in a minute. There's a high quality filter in there that's going to help remove any kind of contaminants that may migrate their way into the oil system. And then you're going to have a little packet right here that has a new O-ring for the oil filter and a couple of washers for the drain plug on the oil pan. Now you're going to get all of this in a complete, cost-effective, convenient kit with no waste. It's just the exact amount of oil for each one of the machines. With AMSOIL's severe service formulations, it allows riders to confidently push their machines to the limit, whatever those limits may be. And if you'd like to learn more about AMSOIL's protection, please take a few minutes and check out the UTV Extreme Dyno Test online at AMSOIL.com. And again, these are the kits for the Can-Ams. On the other side, we have kits also for Polaris. Now, before I end here today, I would just like to say one thing. With next Thursday being Earth Day, there's really no better way to practice extraordinary.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tom along with Johnny Gallagher. Mikey Wayne's down in the pits right now as we are coming to you from the Big Buck Farm for this, the Tiger Run GNCC. And it seems like trouble for the folks down in Kawasaki. We saw them working there a few moments ago on Snodgrass's bike, and now here we are. We see what happened to the wheel. That looks like a pretty damaged. Wayne, what's going on?
Yeah, as you can see on camera right there, broken hub. He's done. They were able to replace it, obviously, as you guys saw. He's out there racing. Not exactly sure what happened to Strang, when it happened, but we know this. It was gnarly. It was nasty. So the crew was quick to get it changed and get it back out racing. Another tough break this season for Josh Strang, though.
No doubt about that. Heartbreaker for him. You know, again, the consistency, though, that rider is able to muster up, and that's one thing that we've been talking about him leading even into this season, you know, how strong of a competitor he is because of the consistency. And, you know, like you pointed out a few moments ago, the issues that he had at the one race and was able to come back and finish a strong top 20 overall and score those points.
Top 10? Nice.
Top 10, yeah. That was amazing, no doubt. And even today, you know, I mean, I'm sure we're going to see pretty extraordinary strides out of Josh Strang throughout the course of this race, and still be able to finish up a lot stronger than maybe what you might be thinking he might be able to. So that's why they call him the freight train, I guess. Once he gets rolling, I mean, he's rolling out there.
Well, I think the issue at round 3 when he lost that brake system, obviously colliding him and another rider, making contact, and ultimately taking out the front brake system. That was a pretty quick change. They did a great job on that wheel change, but because of where he came back from, and we don't know exactly where he came off the track, but having to go back, I think he lost even more time. I think, like I said, at his worst at round 3 there in Georgia, I believe he was just outside the top 20 or right near the tail end of the top 20. I could be wrong, but I think when we see Josh Strang check in at the end completion of this lap, he's going to be pretty well outside the top 20. Not super far, but I think he's going to be in like the high 20s, and he's going to have quite a bit of ground to make up. Definitely still, I think we'll see him score points today, but it's going to be, he's going to need all of them that he can get to keep himself in this championship hunt. And that, you know, this guy right here doing all he can do to score max points today, which is 30.
That's it. He sits currently back in the number 5 position as far as points are concerned in the overall situation. And looking at that, that's 67 points. That puts him actually only 19, actually was that 57? No, 67, 19 points behind Ben Kelly. So he can make some pretty big strides today if he gets this win, and if Kelly finishes in that 3rd place position, that's going to be another 8 points gained there. So we're going to see that getting closer and closer to the 10 mark and even into the single digits pretty soon. So that's going to be exciting from that standpoint. But also another standpoint, right now we've got 3 points that separate 1st and 2nd, 3 points that separate 2nd and 3rd, and only 10 points back to Ashburn, and like we said, another 3 points back to Stu Baylor back there in the 5th place position. This is a pretty tight championship when you look at this on paper right now as we roll into this 5th round of racing. And you know, generally you start to see a rider stretch away at this point, or we have in seasons past, and generally that's because you've got the consistency, and most recently with the consistency of obviously Caleb Russell out there, you don't have that so much today. And with the absence of Thad Duvall, this has really mixed things up, I think, for this championship, and it's what's keeping these points so tight and really keeping a lot of people in contention to win the championship.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the kind of what you said, this would be the point of the season where normally Caleb Russell's kind of trying to stretch his lead out. I think what we're seeing is Stu Baylor kind of almost morphing himself into that Caleb Russell role of winning the races, but rather than stretch the lead out, he's really chipping away at the gap and getting himself right back into the thick of it.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, 19 points is almost nothing. You know, it's still a solid lead, but at the same time, if he's able to do today, like you said, gain 8 points, 9 points, whatever it may be, well, 9 it would be, he would bring it down to a 9-point gap, or no, sorry, a 10-point gap. But Ben Kelly, I don't know if you saw on screen there, was almost to the rear wheel of Ricky Russell. He was just probably less than 10 seconds behind. Last time we saw him, that was more like 26 seconds, I believe, is what you had said it was at the finish line. So Ben Kelly, knowing that point situation and saying, hey, I got to try to run Stu down, but if I can't, I got to at least get to 2nd. But I don't think Ricky Russell's going to make it easy on him today. Ricky Russell wants to be on that podium, and he knows that making dust is a lot better than eating it. He's been in both. He's been in both roles today. He's been leading with Stu Baylor behind him, and he's been 2nd trying to keep pace with Stu Baylor. And I'm sure he'd much rather be in front of Ben Kelly than behind him.
Well, the one thing we do know is that Ricky Russell does have the speed. We saw that last year. Unfortunately, we've only seen glimpses of it this year, but I think what we've seen is Ricky kind of solidifying himself over the course of these first 4 rounds of racing, getting himself, I guess, kind of reacquainted with racing, because when you look at the big picture, it's only been 4 races that he's been back. I mean, it seems like it's been so much longer than that, but a year ago, his injury was fresh. And, you know, just 3 months ago, when we first came here to Big Buck GNCC, that was his first time back racing a motorcycle.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's hard to believe, because it seems like now that we're here at round 5, feels like this season's been kind of stretching on for a while now. But like you said, this is only Ricky's 5th race back, 5th GNCC race back since his injury at Georgia in 2020, and a very serious injury and a lengthy comeback from that. Here we say Stu Baylor on screen, kind of Yamaha live drone. We got so much crazy to think about. 2 months ago we were here and we were watching these guys through this whole section as they come into the auxiliary pro pits here, rounding the corner, hard on the hammer, and Stu Baylor trying to continue to stretch it out, may be able to get a shot if this live drone stays there long enough, and we can see exactly what the gap is. So Stu Baylor back into the woods right about 1 hour, 20 minutes, 30 seconds as he kind of goes into the woods there. So we'll see what the gap is back to the 2nd place rider of Ricky Russell. and there he is. So the gap is not a whole bunch. But this section takes a little longer than you think. We're already at 13 seconds, and he's still got a couple straightaways and a corner here to go. So we're at 17, 18, 19. We're at 20 seconds. And still counting as he kind of goes into the shadow there. Looks like we're at 25 seconds is the gap back to Ricky Russell. And then I think we may have missed Ben Kelly there.
That's him. Is that him there? No.
No, it is not. Either we missed him or he lost some time because he was much closer to Ricky Russell. But as the drone was following there, it'd be very easy to to kind of miss him. I think Lane Michael should be the next rider. There we see. There is Lane. So Ben has already come through. We don't know exactly what that gap is. But luckily, folks at home, we're getting real close to the finish line.
Yeah.
We'll get an exact check-in on these guys.
3
got
minutes.
one more little section of woods here. There's Lane Michael. Solid ride for Lane today in fourth. No, he wants to be up there battling for wins and podiums, but it's been kind of a struggle a bit for Lane. He's had some crashes, some off races, and I'm sure kind of being there within sight and striking distance of a podium is a great place for him. An hour and 21 minutes into this. Stu Baylor up the FMF PowerPoint and continue to make tracks and try and get away from the second place rider of Ricky Russell. 25 seconds is what it was. We'll see when they check into scoring here in just a few minutes how that gap is progressing.
Yeah, I have to think that maybe Ben Kelly pretty close to Ricky Russell within the shadows just outside the camera shot. There's Ricky Russell now making his way through the FMF PowerPoint. And
there is Ben Kelly, yeah. So that's about 7 seconds back. And again, that was 30 seconds a lap, 26 seconds a lap ago. So he's definitely made up some ground there. But still, Stu Baylor almost going down on the entry to BP Fuels Pro Row. And just like that, he's in for a pit, Rodney.
Goggles are off. They're going to get fresh goggles. He's going to obviously grab a fresh drink, it looks like. They're putting a splash of gas in there. No senses of urgency, none whatsoever. He's off and rolling.
Rodney, while Stu's there pitting, and I'm sure we're going to see Ricky Russell, I see Tina Remington with his goggles in hand there, so he is definitely going to be coming in and getting some fuel himself, probably some fresh goggles as well. Stu Baylor made a comment on social media, Ricky Russell in the pits, getting some fuel, some fresh goggles, and he is going to be told, hey, you got a tail, his name's Ben Kelly, you're going to need to go. Thanks, go catch Stu, bye. that was a great talk she did there.
Was a great talk.
Motivational speaking. But Ben Kelly probably did fuel there as well, we're guessing, and there he is just behind Ricky Russell. Stu Baylor made a comment on social media. I don't remember if it was his story or a post that he made. He said, the rumor has it is that I don't train and I'm not fit enough to go the full 3 hours. So if you remember the conversation we had at Camp Coker just 3 weeks ago, we were talking about it, and I had, along with a few others, it wasn't just me, we had said that we felt that maybe if it came down to a grind of a 3-hour race on a really tough, physically demanding course like that, someone like Ben Kelly might have an edge. I didn't intend to insinuate that Stu Baylor wasn't in shape, but I'm not going to lie. I feel like when it comes down to an incredibly physically demanding race, Ben Kelly would probably be in better shape, but I think what it comes down to is Stu Baylor, he's just a gamer, man. Like him and his brother, and there is just on cue coming in his brother Grant. Oh, it looks like Grant had actually made the pass on Jordan Ashburn, unless Ashburn had already pitted down
that very well could be at the other end, yeah.
Yes, because actually the Magna One Lubricants gas pit is just that side. So it looked like he had pitted. Grant passed him momentarily and then got back around him. But these guys, they do really well late in the races. They're very bike fit. They ride a lot. Of course, they train, but also, and I don't know, like it seems like no one kind of wants to talk about this, but they're bigger boys and they have reserves. So there's a lot to be said for those reserves. A lot of times a very fit, very lean athlete in a 3-hour endurance competition will kind of run out of energy. Your fat storage is exactly that. It's reserves for when your body is depleted. And Stu and Grant have more reserves than anyone else in the XC1 Pro class, just looking at their physical build. And of course, their heart, like no one can question the desire in the heart of the Baylor boys. Like they're out there grinding, and so we'll see. Now we're going to see it again. Ben Kelly and obviously the second place rider of Ricky Russell, very lean, tall, skinny boys, trying to run down the good old boy, Stu Baylor. You know, so who's going to come out on top?
So it sounds like liquid barley sandwiches are good for Stu Baylor.
Yeah, that's another thing that actually was brought to my attention, and I won't mention any names, but Stu has that party image, and we saw him enjoy himself in adult beverage as we watch him check in here, the yellow flag waving. We got he almost connects with the lapped rider there coming through scoring. He turns around and gives him a, hey, buddy, why don't you get out of my way kind of a look. Along with a hand gesture. I think he was saying, hey, you're number 1. Oh, look at this. Ben Kelly. Has he? I don't know that he's gotten around Ricky Russell.
Let's see here real quick. Russell, y'all checked it. Yeah, Russell is in. Russell's in. 17.4 seconds back of Stu Baylor. So there is still 7 seconds. Ben Kelly back consistently 7 seconds.
24 seconds back of the lead now. So that was, we saw it at right at about a minute, because you said 17 seconds and then another 7. So 24 seconds.
Here's something to ponder for you. 28:29 lap time for Stu Baylor. Ricky Russell, a 28:30, a 28:16 for Ben Kelly. So Ben actually turning about a 15-second faster lap, 13-second faster lap, technically, I guess we could say, than Stu Baylor. But wow, what an impressive performance for him. So that right there might give us an indication that we're about to see some things start to take place, at least for second place. And then, hey, there's only 17 seconds between first and second. We're getting late in the race. Nearly 300 riders on the racetrack. It is a little dusty. Lap traffic is going to start to make a bit of a difference in this one. Here comes Jordan Ashburn in now, and looks like we got a specialized rapid replay coming up here. I think through the finish line region, the little issue that Stu may have had there with his lapped rider. He's like, hey, what are you doing? Don't you know who I am?
Well, and that's, you know, honestly, Rodney, that's one of the pitfalls of being out front.
Yeah.
You know, you're the first rider coming up on these guys making
they have
passes.
no idea.
They don't know you're coming.
They just think it's some dirty rider coming from behind. What are you doing that to me for? Not realizing it's the leaders.
They don't. And a lot of times I think it you know, I think it's easy to tell when, obviously, when a rider of Stu Baylor's speed and caliber comes charging up from behind you and it's quiet, and then 1 minute later you just hear, you know, you hear a rev limiter of a 450 dirt bike. You're like, oh, okay, this is one of the leaders. But, you know, especially when you see and they're catching these guys in trains, like big groups of lappers, you know, they're used to hearing bikes around. There's always somebody behind them. There's always somebody in front of them. So, yeah, it can be tough on these guys, and it makes it challenging if you're the leader. I mean, you're the first guy that's got to make those passes and let people know, and then it's progressively easier for each rider behind you to make those passes because they're like, oh, leaders are coming. I got to be, and I can tell you, being out there in the morning, there is Stu Baylor on screen, the 514 Ampro Yamaha, working his way past the hay bales and around through some dusty lappers. And Rodney, what are we looking at?
Dude, remember Lane Michael?
Yeah.
Okay, 28:20.
Oh, yeah, so right
only
there.
3 seconds off the pace of Ben Kelly's 28:17 or 16, I believe, there. And he's faster than Stu Baylor by 9 seconds right now, and 10 seconds faster than Ricky Russell. So pretty impressive to see this at this point. We are just past the actually, we are now in the 1 hour and a half mark, and this is the mark where things have always seemed to go awry for Michael. We'll see, though, if things are turning around. The confidence that Randy Hawkins was talking with me about that was gained by that win last week at that Enduro against head-to-head Stu Baylor, his teammate.
Well, let me tell you what we just saw on screen. It looked like Stu had pulled it out a little bit over Ricky again, and Ricky has definitely pulled it out over Ben Kelly again. Something happened in that section there. Ben Kelly gave up probably at least 5 to 7 more seconds on top of the 7. He gave up more than that, because there's Lane Michael right there.
Wow.
So Ben Kelly has now dropped virtually all of what he had made up on Stu Baylor and Ricky Russell, and I'm thinking he's back upwards of 20 seconds back from Ricky Russell, where it was down to just 7.
What could this do for Lane Michael at this juncture of the race? If he was to be able to get Ben Kelly in his sights here at the midway point, it might give him the inspiration that he needs, and we may see that podium out of Lane Michael today, and that would be rather phenomenal with a big win from Enduro Racing last week, and to come here and score a podium at GNCC the next week. That would definitely get the confidence rolling for him.
Speaking of rolling, there was Jordan Ashburn going by, and right there is the 314 of Grant Baylor rolling, still just trying to catch in Jordan Ashburn. He's trying to get, he's made a few passes, but he's kind of stuck there in that 6th place spot, and he's trying to get up and get around Ashburn for 5th and try to start tracking down the guys in front of him to get a little closer to maybe battle for a podium. But as we're looking and waiting on the leaders, we'll be waiting for the 514 Ampro Yamaha of Stu Baylor, and here at the 2-mile marker, you can see the dust just kind of hanging in the woods. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier, Rodney, and I got to tell you, man, some of these sections were just so incredibly dusty yesterday. You literally couldn't see anything. There is Baylor. standing up, kind of on the charge, but looking pretty at ease. Doesn't look like he's panicked, doesn't look like he's sprinting, just looking like he's carrying good speed, and we'll see what the gap is back to the 2:12 of Ricky Russell on that Coastal Racing gas. There he is. There's Russell right there. So I actually didn't catch a time exactly on Baylor. So, but you can see Ben Kelly no longer right in the shadow of Ricky Russell and has fallen back. So he's going to have to put in another charge to try and get up close to battle with Ricky over that second place spot if he wants to go through Ricky to try and go after the win in Stu Baylor.
Top 6 riders all running nearly identical lap times within just a handful of seconds of each other, Johnny. And, oftentimes, you see that maybe between 1 or 2 guys, but when you've got 6 guys that are running, some of them can't even see each other, and they're all running basically at the same pace right now. That's pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of that has to do with how you said, they're running the same lap times, but they're, they can't even see each other. I think the dust is kind of the limiting factor here on speed. It's really hard to chase somebody and be right behind them. And once you get a few seconds behind them, you kind of have to get back to that 12, 15 seconds before the dust will clear enough on the track that you can actually see. So I think it's almost kind of running a pace car. We're seeing these 12, 15 second gaps. There is Jordan Ashburn. He's trying to track down Lane Michael and should be right about now. We should see Grant Baylor. There he is. He is trying to track down Jordan Ashburn. So we haven't talked much about Jordan Ashburn today, but as usual, right there in the top 5, sitting in that 5th place spot within striking distance of Lane Michael in 4th, who's not all that far behind Ben Kelly in 3rd. So Jordan Ashburn still on that Magna 1 Lubricants Husqvarna team, still within striking position of a podium. Now 1.5 hours into the racing action here at the Tiger Run GNCC, and Jordan Ashburn just quietly doing the work, always up in there.
He is, and consistency. You look at the point standings right now. Jordan Ashburn sits in the 4th place position of points. He's 10 points back of Grant Baylor right now as far as that is concerned, and that puts him 16 points out of the 1st place position behind Ben Kelly.
What do you think if Jordan Ashburn gets himself a social media hype man? That's what he needs.
He does.
He just needs a hype man. He needs somebody that just, kind of turns him into a virtual Stu Baylor or something like that. Just give him all kind of, we got a rapid replay coming our way. Oh, nope, just kidding. Way down the leaders. I wasn't sure what we were going to see, but I was excited about it.
So here we go, waiting on the leaders at the 4-mile marker. I'm just really, really excited about the point standings. I mean, even back to Josh Toth, 57 points, 56 points to Johnny Girard. And, for some reason, his name is listed as Jonathan, and we call him Johnny so much. So when I see Jonathan on there, it makes me stutter most every time I see his name. But Johnny Girard, he's doing pretty good, too. He's not far out of a top 5 overall position. And, as this season wears on, who knows how this XC2 class is going to pan out, which I do want to delve into here in just a moment. Johnny, talk a little bit about, see how things are going back there, because it's been since lap 1 or 2 since we had an opportunity to really look back there and see what's going on. Plus, we got an amateur rundown coming up, and there is Stu Baylor.
Rodney, one thing interesting to note here, I'm looking at the overalls after 3 laps complete, and look at this. Liam Draper has made his way back around Mike Witkowski with a 13-second lead in that XC2, separate the top 4 in that XC2 Pro Lights class.
That is pretty impressive. Another great battle shaping up in that one as well. Just under 20 minutes before we expect to see lap 4 complete here, as we are about an hour and 35 minutes approaching that into this Tiger Run GNCC. Right. Find out GNCC Live continues after this.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We
returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2021 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort June 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elite to instruct in-depth courses and fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis, with limited openings evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, contact Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386.
And welcome back to GNCC Live at the Big Buck Farm, and of course this fifth round of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship. And as we always like to say, over 95% of the racers in GNCC are amateur riders, from the weekend warriors to the seasoned vets. They're all out here with us, and of course we're going to take a look at the rundown of our classes here as we check in with our 250B class. Lane Whitmer, Johnny McGee, Cameron Madison, also Andrew Inman and Dakota Cunningham rounding out the top 5 in that 250B class, which is a highly competitive class. Seeing the Gas is doing well in that one. 150B class, Matthew Hollenbeck leading Hayden Serena, Jay Pittard in the number 3 spot, Peyton Gwynn in 4th, Blaine Barrier rounding out the top 5. And 150B, that's a lot of those 125s, if I'm not mistaken. I hear a lot of those ringing out going through that first turn. Ty Ely leading the 4-stroke B lights class. Max Grant in the number 2 spot. Levi Self was 3rd, 4th. Caden Sims. Robert Rosinski rounded out your top 5. And good variance of folks from different places around the eastern United States. Mike Funk leading the Vet B30 Plus class with Patrick Johnson out of South Carolina in 2nd. Brandon Pelcher from Tennessee in 3rd. Brian Rezatorski, haven't said that name in a while, Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio in 4th. And Nick Resch rounding out the top 5. Chad Adkins in the Senior B40 Plus class from Huntington, West Virginia, by God. Stephen Young out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Felipe Branger out of Orlando, Florida. Brent Maynard out of Genoa, West Virginia. And Dave Younglis out of Sullivan, Ohio, rounding out the top 5. Big Stu Baylor Jr. in the lead of the XC1 Pro class. Ricky Russell, Ben Kelly, Lane Michael, Jordan Ashburn at last check. All your top 5 riders, as we know. Grant Baylor in 6th, but check that out. Corey Buttrick in 7th right now. Trevor Bollinger back there as well as we took at the XC2 250 Pro class. Liam Draper back up in front of this one out of New Zealand. Mike Witkowski in 2nd. Craig DeLong in 3rd. Johnny Gerard in 4th. And Thorne Devlin rounding out the top 5 in this one. Jonathan Johnson, who is going for the perfection, looking for 5 for 5 today out of Landrum, South Carolina. Chase Colville, the hole shot king in 2nd. Ben Parsons, Max Fernandez, and Jason Lipscomb rounding out the top 5 in our FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Well, Will Sievenpiper out of Cumming, Georgia. I've been calling him Sievenpiper for a while, but I was told it's Sievenpiper. Zach Nash in 2nd. Nathan Rector in 3rd. Tanner Whipple in 4th. And Jay Green rounding out the top 5. Tanner, one of those Midwestern United States riders coming into the GNCC and kind of taking it by storm. Bubs Tasha up front of JoJo Cunningham. We see a change in that 258 class. Johnny Gallagher, Tristan Landrum in 3rd. Zachary Davidson, who got the hole shot in that class, in 4th. And Benjamin Wright rounds out the top 5. Toby Cleveland continues to lead the 150A class with Sean Myers back in the number 2 spot. Jaden Donners is 3rd. Randall Irvin in 4th. And James Skinner up out of Rhode Island in that number 5 position. Looking at the 4-stroke A lights classes, Tyler Palmer in the lead of Cooper Jones out of Lawton, PA. Grant Davis is 3rd. Travis Raynaud in 4th. And Gary Inman rounds out your top 5 in the 4-stroke A lights class. A lot of Keystoners doing well in that one. Junior AB 25-plus class, Tyler Brunton, Austin Franklin, Grant Marriott in the number 3 spot with Dakota Durand in 4th, and Andrew Boggs rounding out the top 5 as far as Junior AB 25-plus class riders are concerned. And you've had A class. We see James Bauer out of Elizabeth, PA. Danny Haftel out of Verona, PA in 2nd. Ryan Inman is 3rd. Look at that. 4 out of 5 of the top 5. Josh Brown in 4th out of Pennsylvania. Sammy Doris out of Greenbrier, Tennessee rounds out the top 5. Frank Messina, Smiling Frank, as we like to call him, out of Campbell Hall, New York, leading shotgun shots early. Top 5 there as we pick action up back out here at the 8-mile marker. Once again, Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher. Out and about is Mikey Waynes, and that on screen is Stu Baylor.
Coming into the Monster Mile, Stu Baylor leaving a log there. We're going to start, little step out for the rear end there, but no troubles for Stu Baylor. Just grabs a handful of throttle, straightens her out, and look at that. There is the 212 of Ricky Russell, I believe. I believe that was him. No, there he is right there, coming into the Monster Mile now. So this gap is opening up, folks. We're at 16 seconds, and he still has about 3 turns to go here. So I think we're going to see this one up close to 30 seconds.
Wow. I guess the big question right now is, where is that 3rd place ride, Johnny Gallagher?
So, and it is exactly 30 seconds. And then look at that. Oh, no, that's not.
I thought I got full 2.
No. So there is Ben Kelly. So about 10 seconds back, if that, to Ben Kelly there in the 3rd place spot. So
Ben's made up some time because he was 54 seconds behind Stu there just a few moments ago. So he's made up a little bit of time over the last couple of miles. And speaking of miles, this guy right here's got plenty of them on him, and we're talking about Bevo Forti, and it's a good thing because, man, he brings some great things to the industry out of the 100% Goggles camp. Bevo, welcome to GNCC Live, man. Glad to have you out here with us today.
I'm glad to be here. I'm very glad to be here. It's a nice day here, and where else should you be on a Sunday but at a race?
That's exactly it. And we're at one of the greatest races, the premier off-road championship in the United States and world-renowned GNCC series. And of course, we've got the world-renowned Bevo here with us. Bevo, I know you like to watch great racing. And what are you thinking about what we're seeing out of this year's crop of riders, this crop of championship contenders, as Grant Baylor makes his way by still in that number 6 spot at the FMF PowerPoint?
Well, I mean, you know, for a while there you had Russell Caleb. He was pretty dominant, and now you got about 4 or 5 guys that can win. It's believe it or not, in a 3-hour race, the start's really important.
It is becoming more and more important. You know, I always tell my son, it doesn't matter where you start, where you finish is what matters. But, you know, amazingly, you're right. And in recent years, the start has been pretty critical, especially for more of the elite classes up there. But there are that handful of riders like, well, on the ATV side of things in particular, you take a look at Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal. Those guys can go down in the first turn, and they can be in first place by the end of the first lap. And we see that on occasion with some of the bike guys too, but you have to be somebody special to make that happen.
Oh yeah, I mean, everyone's going fast, and I always say to the guys, hey, it's tough when you give another rider a head start. You know, and that's what they did today with Ben Kelly, and he's working here now in the 3rd lap, got it down to 10 seconds, but yeah, he's probably burning a lot more energy.
Yeah, I mean, he's had to push a lot. He's made up a lot of ground. He's lost some ground. He's made up more ground. So you're right, working very hard today back there in that 3rd place position. And I don't think people realize sometimes, you know, you see him and you say, oh, well, he's in 3rd, but sometimes that's a job, a chore to maintain that. And when you're riding against the best riders in the world like they are today, yeah, you know, his job is certainly very taxing.
And it's not the coolest day either. So
no, it's not. You know, I haven't got an exact temperature, but I know that they said 71 degrees. I'm thinking more in the 77-degree range.
Maybe that's in the shade.
Well, Bevo, what's going on with 100%? I know, you know, I talk about 100% goggles, and, you know, there's more to 100% than just goggles, especially now I know that you guys are delving into the MTB, GNCC market and things of that nature.
Well, we've developed. We started out with the motocross industry, obviously, and now we've brought out our new Omega, and our Omega goggle now has a film system that we just incorporated, and it's unbelievable. We have a new ratchet system on it, and we're going to have a tear-off system that's going to really work well on it. Unfortunately, right now with the tear-offs, I guess I have to use the V word, the virus.
They're hard to come by, right?
The supply and demand, not only for the motorcycle industry. I mean, I just saw on TV the other day that they can't make furniture.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's all coming, and we're pretty happy about the progress with our company. I mean, last night we had a fabulous night at the Supercross. We went 1-2 with Trasher and Cooper in the lights class, and then an incredible ride by Cooper Webb.
Guy Cooper, that's a name from the past.
I basically told everybody I've been around a while. Huh?
yeah. And Bebo, I told you just a moment ago, I didn't want to hear what happened. No, that's cool. I can't wait to see how that's all. And that championship's getting pretty tight too. Cooper really needed that win to maintain that points lead.
That was a 6-point swing.
Wow, that really helps out.
And now we're on board with Stuart Baylor, and he's done a good job for us out here.
Oh, no doubt.
He's a good representative, and then we also have, we were involved with the FMF program there, Goggle, and we have the Baylor boys now.
Yeah, and that's great. My son's got the FMF 100% goggles as well. Stu Baylor making his way by there just a moment ago here at the FMF PowerPoint. We should be seeing second place come in here fairly soon as rejoined. There it is, the 212 of Ricky Russell. I still think we're in that neighborhood of that 20, 25, or 30 seconds. Actually, I think we might have seen it chip away a little bit, because this right here is starting to chip away a little bit. I think he's feeling the added pressure, Johnny Gallagher, from the 530 of Ben Kelly.
6 seconds, Rodney. We had it down to 7, then it was up over 20. Now it's back down to 6. Ben Kelly's on the charge, and he's starting to reel in Ricky Russell.
Well, I'll tell you, in this industry, in this sport, I don't think 30 seconds is 2 bike lengths.
That's wheel to wheel in this world.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, 3 hours. Come on. I mean, are we halfway?
Yeah, we're just past. We're approaching the 2-hour mark at 1 hour and 51.5 minutes right now, Bebo. So we are very close to. Well, the home stretch, and this is where things start to change. You know, just like in motocross and all other racing, endurance really plays a big part in it. Conditions today with lap traffic, conditions today with the dust and maybe the heat, and I would imagine that you're probably going to be looking at a lot of dry mouth and things like that with the dust in the air and stuff. It's going to change the face of this race, I think, in hour 3. 25 seconds, you're saying now, Johnny Gallagher.
25 seconds back to Ricky Russell, 31 back to Ben Kelly as they came through VP Fuels Pro Row there. Now, and judging by the way they did things there, they pitted on lap number 3, so they should be with a 6-lap race. Actually, it may only come out to be a 5-lap. No, yeah, 5-lap race. Is that what we're looking at?
No, we'll be wrapping up lap number 4 here at the end of 2 hours, and then at the end of 2.5 will be 5, and at the end of 6 would be 3.
So
there's no such thing as like. Don't take the white flag. There's one less lap.
Yeah, it would be nice. I'm sure these guys are wishing it was one less lap at this point, because it's dusty, it's hot. But I'll tell you who's not wishing for one less lap, and that's probably Ben Kelly.
Right.
He's starting to make ground. Again, it's kind of been a seesaw battle. We've seen him get close, and then we've seen Stu and Ricky stretch it back out on him. But this is the closest we've seen him to Ricky Russell there for that number 2 spot. And Ricky, like you said, Rodney, that pressure from Ben Kelly behind him is now driving him ever closer to Stu Baylor. So this one is staying real close here 2 hours into this one.
And that's the beauty of Ricky Russell, and seeing him be able to rise to the occasion like he is once he's being pushed and get back on that pace again. That this is kind of what he's needing. Like we talked earlier, this is only his 5th race back since the injury well over a year ago now. But regardless, this is what he's needing. He needs to dig deep. He needs to find that edge just to see exactly where it is, so he knows where he wants to ride, where he can ride, and word is that Ricky Russell may be having some brake issues, but he doesn't want to stop in the pits. And with that being said, I don't blame him, I don't think, at this particular point.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be hard.
Point, if he's having brake issues, it's surely not showing in his lap times or his speed. That being said, though, if he's having brake issues, it just kind of takes away that confidence a little bit.
Yep.
We don't know what the brake issues are, if they're just overheating or if they're kind of intermittent coming and going. But here we go, Stu Baylor in, and Rodney, we got to watch on him, and we're going to see see here in just a moment. Ricky Russell, last we saw, was 25 seconds back of the leader, and here he comes. He's rounding the final chicanes. He's got 2 more turns to go, and he'll be crossing the line for what should be 2 laps to go. Looks like Ricky Towery there, our course official, has the 2-lap board in hand. Ricky Russell now knows he's got 2 more circuits of this Tiger Run course to make, and what do we got for a split?
22.884, so basically call it a 23-second split between first and second place position. On the clock from a lap ago, it stated 17 seconds. We'd seen it stretch out and close back up, but we're down to just under the 23-second deficit now.
And where do we see, it looks like Ben Kelly also checked in there.
5.5 seconds back.
So Ben Kelly is pushing, but again, it's pushing Ricky Russell closer. The interesting thing, as we were told by our crew here, we're getting reports of Ricky Russell having brake issues. Rodney, it just isn't translating to what we're seeing on screen.
He turned nearly identical lap. He turned a 28.30 the lap before, a 28.31 this time around. So, I mean, it's not showing it in his riding. A 28.25 for Stu Baylor this time around. He gained about 4 seconds on his lap time there. So, not reflecting in Ricky Russell's ride. What this does is make me question how well could Ricky Russell be doing today if he wasn't having the brake issues at this point.
Yeah, 28 you said?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first moto, isn't it?
Exactly.
Just so they're looking for the 2-lap cord right now, right?
No, well, they are technically. They did get the 2-lap board.
Yeah, we got a. Oh, that was Caleb Russell actually walking by there at the 10-mile marker, out there giving some pip boards to his KTM teammates. And Jordan Ashburn on screen coming in. Has he made the pass? Did Lane Michael check in?
Lane Michael has checked in 4th place, 45.5 seconds behind Ben Kelly with a lap time of 28.47. Checking in now in the number 5 spot, Grant Baylor, 19 seconds behind Lane Michael. He's turning about a 20-second faster lap than what Lane Michael is. So in theory, we should see Grant Baylor and Lane Michael locked bars for that white flag lap coming up here in about 28 minutes or so. But I have to think this is the time of the race where Grant really shines, and I'm sure that right now that Lane Michael's still trying to just fight those bugs of getting through that 3rd hour. So this is going to get very interesting as far as this final couple laps are concerned in this spot.
Well, doesn't Grant have a dust protector with that big beard he's wearing?
I believe you're absolutely correct. I imagine that thing will be packed full of dust whenever he gets off the bike here in just a little bit.
Hey, Rodney, one thing we saw on screen real quick, Bevo, Johnny Gerard came by there at that big hill climb, and I did not see any riders in front of him. He may be our new leader in that XC2 Pro Lights class. Last we knew, Liam Draper had taken back over the lead, but those guys should be coming in for a 2-lap board here within the next 30 seconds, and I think we may have a new leader in Johnny Gerard. Mike Witkowski, Liam Draper, we're ahead of him there, but they should be checking in just about any moment.
Yeah, it sounds like Mikey Wayne's got a report for us down in the pits. Let's check in with Big Boy.
What's going on, fellas? Hey, down here in the factory, Coastal Racing gas pits, a little update for you on Ricky Russell. As he came by, as you guys have already mentioned, he was pointing at his brakes. The pit crew was ready, locked and loaded, ready to get him going, get him changed out. He bypassed the pit, so they, in their words, gas words were, must not be that serious. So serious enough to be acknowledging it, not serious enough to stop. Just boom.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. No doubt about that.
Hey, guys, I want to thank you for having me on here. People probably rather listen to you guys announce the race than me just coming off with these wisecracks. But I'd just like to thank everybody here at GNCC. This sport has become so professional. I mean, it's unbelievable. I was here when I was in a cow pasture many years ago, and what you folks have built this up to is incredible. And there's one important thing always you got to say: God bless America.
Amen. God bless you, Bevo Forti from 100% Goggles here with us, and of course, industry icon, no doubt about it. Glad to have him on the show with us here today, Johnny. And no, I kind of enjoy his little comments out of the blue like that. But you know, very good point. You know, a 28-minute lap, like Bevo said, a motocross racer would be looking for the 2-lap board at this particular point. These guys, obviously, they've
already done 4 of them.
Exactly.
Stu Baylor on screen leading the way and sprinting. That is a much more urgent Stu Baylor we're seeing in his riding there. He's getting those pit boards. He knows the boys are back there. 24 seconds, I believe you said it was, as they checked in there.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not that they're right there on his rear wheel, but Stu's been putting in good laps, and he's not opening up that gap any, because this guy right here, the 212 Coastal Racing Gas of Ricky Russell, is keeping him honest all day long. Ben Kelly was just 6 seconds back. Looks like that may have opened up just a little bit, but we did see that last lap in this section. This is one of the dustier sections of this big buck track. Any of these pines, it's real silty. And the crazy thing, we're going way back now. 2 laps ago, we saw Josh Strang in the pits replacing that front wheel because he had broken a hub. I'm going to speculate and say I believe it was a rock getting kicked up. You know, we've seen many comments on social media and many of the riders coming off the track saying, man, I don't remember Big Buck being so rocky. The parts of the track that they're running this weekend, there's a lot of loose, big rocks between softball and all the way up to like basketball size that when they're kind of like rolling around and flying off the rear wheels, easily could have been one of those that got flipped up, or Josh Strang just happened to crash in just the wrong spot that broke that hub.
Ironically, you know, I thought it funny when my son mentioned from the youth race this morning. I said, what'd you think? He said, well, I didn't like it as good as the first one. He said it was a lot slicker, and he says there were a lot more rocks. And I was thinking, well, maybe that was because it was drier or whatever the case may be. But like you say, I mean, in different sections and portions of the course, you know, those rocks that are there, we finally, I guess, got reintroduced to back here in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. Grant Baylor on the charge, trying to get ever closer to Lane Michael for that 4th place spot. Not quite there yet, but he, as we know, has gotten around Jordan Ashburn, who was holding down that 4th place spot. Ashburn still in 5th, last we knew. Have we got a read on Josh Strang yet? Has he checked in?
Not yet. We are through the top 14. Roy Barbosa from Chile, riding on the Phoenix Racing Honda for the XC2 250 Pro class, is in the 14th place position. The last rider to check in. Now that there's Corey Buttrick, Ben Nelko checking in as well. There's Josh Strang, 17th place out of Australia.
So Josh Strang, 17th place. So he made up 3 points that lap. He was 20th, now he's 17th. So that's 3 more points in that championship hunt. Ever important is each one of those points that he's gaining after coming back from that front wheel change and a lengthy trek from out on the course somewhere back to VP Fuels Pro Road to change that wheel and then back out to where he left the track. Interesting there, Rodney. We're looking and we see now that XC2 Pro Lights class is checked in. Looks like we've got our top 6 or 7 actually checked in, and it is Craig DeLong leading the way. Craig DeLong out front in that XC2 Pro Lights class. 2nd place. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Mike Wachowski still leading the way. Wachowski leading the way, 6 seconds back, Craig DeLong, and then Johnny Gerard about another 18 seconds back. So 24 seconds separating the top 3 in that XC2 Pro Lights class. Back there in 4th, Liam Draper, and then Thorne Devlin still in the top 5, now only 10 seconds behind Liam Draper. So shout out to Thorne Devlin. We haven't talked about him much today, but that's a very solid ride for him there in the 5th place spot. We're waiting on the leaders, and here he is. Stu Baylor, the 514 Am Pro Yamaha, through this Yamaha bannered section of race course. He's going to go up, disappear into the trees, and in about 10 seconds we're going to see him come down the other side of this valley.
Well, just an FYI, Trevor Bollinger rounding out the top 10 overall right now. That would put him, I believe, in 7th place of the XC1 Pro class, but time adjustments puts him in 10th overall behind some of the XC2 250 Pro riders.
I think we're seeing Stu Baylor put in a sprint lap, Rodney. I think that's what we're watching happen right now. He's trying to stretch out this gap over Ricky Russell. Ricky Russell has so far been able to more or less match everything Stu Baylor has thrown at him. He got that initial lead, but hasn't really been able to open up more than about that 22 to 25 seconds is the biggest gap that he's been able to get. And right now, Stu Baylor is sprinting, but Ricky Russell still trying to step for step match that sprint to keep that gap and bring it hopefully closer, because when they come around just in a few, well, I guess we're at the 4-mile marker, so about 8 more miles until we'll see a white flag waving.
I tell you, the battle that I'm interested in seeing right now is to see what's shaping up between 4th and 5th and see if they're making any time on 3rd place. Ben Kelly is the battle that I anticipate between Lane Michael and Grant Baylor to be shaping up here pretty soon. I don't know that they're going to be very close at this 4-mile marker, but I think that if things continue on the pace that they were, Grant Baylor should be a few more seconds closer, maybe not within sight of Lane Michael just yet, but also be interesting to see how much time can be gapped between 4th and 3rd.
There is Lane Michael at the 4-mile marker. He's down, and there is Grant Baylor. So it's just continuing to shrink that gap, but not much closer can he get before he starts to really get into that thick dust behind Lane Michael. So this is kind of the part where he's going to either have to kind of just twist it, hope for the best, and pin it blindly into the dust, or he's going to have to kind of hang back and pick his spot where he makes a charge on Lane Michael.
Well, might get some break here with some lap riders just ahead of Lane Michaels. We head out of this Yamaha section of racetrack. Lane just rolling up on, I think, the back of 3 different riders right there. And with that gap closing up, I expect that we may see it close up even a little bit more as it continues to roll on there. I believe, is this Bollinger coming through now there? Maybe. No, he was 1:15 seconds, so we should be waiting a little bit longer to be seeing him checking in. Maybe Corey Buttrick checking in here pretty soon as well. But Mike Witkowski, Craig DeLong, and Johnny Gerard, a couple of riders or a few riders that we should be watching out for. There is the number 3 of Jordan Ashburn now. That 6th place ride still solid back there here at this 4-mile marker. He had, I believe, now it's 2 minutes and 20-second lead over Trevor Bollinger, who would be your 7th place rider in the XC1 class, 10th overall right now. So I think a little bit of buffer room there for the number 3 of Jordan Ashburn out of Livingston, Tennessee, who likes to have that buffer, I believe, there, Johnny Gallagher. But I know that he also wants to lay the chase. Will he be able to make it happen? We are less than an hour to go.
Well, you know, and you also have to look at the overall spots there.
That's it. The overall spots are going to count, and we're going to start looking at them real close. Get your magnifying glasses out. GNCC Live continues after this.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do. But who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond. Because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Alright guys, so this is Ryan Alonso and I'm your host for Fast Breath and you're watching this on RacerTV. So I'm here with Caleb Wood, the 65 rider in 10-11. And Caleb, how'd your day go?
It went amazing, honestly.
I know you've been winning quite a bit. What win streak are you on right now?
Undefeated this year, so.
So he's won all 4 races, or 5 races maybe. I'm not even sure what race we are. But how would your day go?
It went great. Got a whole shot, and I pretty much led from flag to flag. It was really tough getting around the lappers because there was just so much dust and you couldn't see anything. But
did you have any wreck or get off or anything close calls?
I had one close call with a tree hit me right here in the shoulder, but other than that, just a really smooth race, and I was able to just get out in front and check out.
So you're basically undefeated, so you're untouched, but has this race, have you got any learning experience from this, or?
Yeah, for sure. It's just like, you just have to learn when to push and when not to push.
That's good.
Yeah, it's just like, if you push too hard during the first lap or two, it just like, you can't push for the rest of the race. So you just have to figure out how hard you can push through the first few laps so you can push on through the race.
If you were doing any other sport except dirt bikes, what would be your main favorite sport?
I'd have to say trophy truck.
Trophy truck?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, a trophy truck. I've actually never rode one of those or drove one of those, I guess you could say. All right, guys, so we just finished up interviewing Caleb Wood. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next race. Back to you guys in the booth.
And thanks to Ryan Amonsi, our GNCC Fast Brat there, of course. And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Ginger Billy, which is a social media sensation. And I wondered why they called him Ginger Billy. I see now. You got the ginger build.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. And you're a hillbilly, so Ginger Billy, it all goes together.
Put it together,
I
man.
did.
God, dog, you smart.
Well, I'm hillbilly myself, man, so it all coincides. I'm not quite the hillbilly that you are, brother, but welcome to Big Buck.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure to be here. I mean,
there you are.
It has been an absolute blast, dude. I'm going to tell you right now, I've never been. I've only 20 minutes from here, lived here. Never been, and this has been one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life right here.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to come back out and see more of these in the future.
Definitely. I'll be back.
Yeah. So have you done any filming here for your shows or anything like that?
Dude, I've been so caught up talking to people, taking pictures, and just meeting everybody, man. I ain't had one chance to pull my phone out. I mean, I've not even thought about being able to film. You know, it's just all been about just taking pictures and hanging out with people.
You know, a lot of people are happy to see you, Ginger, and it's great to see that kind of. Well, I mean, you even walked into the studio and they're taking selfies with you, and hey, we want to be involved in it. But if people don't know who you are in the GNCC Racing Nation, which is probably not very many, but for those that don't, they can follow you on Facebook, YouTube, and
TikTok.
It all.
I'm a TikToker, man. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I'm on it all. And, you know, the GNCC guys might know me from, you know, I'm attached a push mower to a 250, a YZ250, and that kind of got me into the dirt bike world. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I tell you what, we love you in the dirt bike world.
I love it.
And maybe we can see more of you in the future, man.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we can get you out there to race at one time.
Yeah, Rodney, I was going to ask, when are we going to see Ginger Billy on a starting line?
When you get somebody to train me.
How about that guy right there?
Because let me tell you, Stu, hey, look, I rode out with Stu, and Stu's kicking butt. Now, I'm just telling you right there, that shows you my ability. Right there, okay?
It all rubbed off
It
on
is, man. That's why he's winning right there. It looks like he could probably actually still be winning with me riding on the back with him right now.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Ginger Billy, what are you doing in 2 weeks? I need you to ride to the starting line with me on Saturday at the Ironman, or I'm sorry, at the Hoosier GNCC.
Give me a holler. We'll do it every time if that's what it takes.
We'll split the earnings 50-50. I got crazy big win bonuses. Nobody thinks I'm going to do it. You start riding on the back to the starting line with me. I win. We'll split the bonus.
We can do that. And just give me one of them pretty blue Yamaha shirts, and we'll call it a day.
You got it, buddy.
All right.
Get you 2.
Yeah.
I'll get you a whole case of them. Look at this. Ricky Russell on screen, and he's trying to track down Ginger Billy's buddy, Stu Baylor, but Ben Kelly trying to track him down. So that right there is the battle for the podium out at the 10-mile marker, the FMF PowerPoint. But so how did you end up getting hooked up with Stu Baylor to ride to the starting line with him?
Bo, I was out there at the start. I just wanted to watch the start, and then I see somebody with that Yamaha blue say, hey, come here. So I walked over there, and Stu's like, hey, man, what's going on? You want to ride on the back with me? And I was like, I don't know you, but yeah, I do.
You're a pretty trusting individual.
I am, yeah. I'm very trusting, yes.
Now, my question is, how long will it be before we see the Ginger Billy bow fishing episode with Stu Baylor?
Oh, hey, me and Stu can go out there, and we can wrap it up, son. I'm telling you right now, he give me a bow, we can go bow fishing.
Oh, he'll get you a bow, I promise you.
Stu's a local boy just like yourself. So I think we'll be seeing that episode here coming up on YouTube.
Yeah, that's cool, definitely.
So if we can ask you, Ginger Billy, what is it that brought you out? How did you hear about this, and what brings you out here for the first time this
I've
weekend?
heard about this race my whole life. I've had buddies who have run it, raced it and stuff, and honestly, I thought about signing up for the amateur ATV race because I have a 2020 Yamaha YFZ 450R myself.
That's what I like to hear.
And I was thinking to myself, well, I could get out here and I could whoop these boys. But I ain't going to do it. I ain't going to show them what I'm made of. And, well, my son, we've got him a dirt bike four-wheeler, and he said, Daddy, I want to go watch. And we come, man, and this has exceeded my expectations beyond what I ever could have thought it would be. I mean, it's just, the races are awesome, but the people too, you know, your vendors, it's just a cool, and smelling that darn BP racing fuel gives me just a,
I know what you mean.
Dog, it makes the heart pump. You know
it does.
Yeah.
It does. Well, I tell you, I think you're hooked. I think we can now call you an official member of the GNCC Racing Nation.
Yes, sir.
When you said the people, I knew all of a sudden it's hook, line, and sinker.
Yep.
You are set, buddy.
Yes, sir. It's a social event is what it is. You know, a social event with racing attached is what it is. Yes, sir.
It most certainly is.
Yes, sir.
Well, Ginger, thank you for being a part of the event this year and coming out. And like Johnny said, you're welcome anytime. And to ride with Johnny, to ride with
I wasn't joking. 2 weeks from now, Indiana, I need you on the back. You're a Yamaha guy. We got a Yamaha shirt for you. Bring that.
Well, I don't wear the shirt. I wear it after.
All right, but yeah, you can be shirtless to the starting line, and then hey, like you said, 10 a.m. race or 11 a.m. race there on Saturday. You can run that 2020 YFZ 450.
Yeah, then y'all be talking about how good Ginger Billy is at racing.
Hey,
you know?
we got some contacts at Yamaha. We'll just get you right to that XC1 Pro line on Saturday on the
dog
ATV.
it, boy, yeah.
You can show Walker Fowler what's up real quick.
Oh man, Walker Fowler don't want none. So nah, Walker Fowler. Listen. If you heard that, I'm playing with you. I saw how fast you was yesterday. Okay, I saw it.
You know what? I think the real competition might be a Ginger Billy Bryson Neal flex off.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm cool with a flex off. Now you know I'm good with that. We flex these muscles.
We'll have that at the Hoosier.
Yes, sir.
Ginger, we're going to plan on you being there, man. Please come, man.
Yeah, hey, y'all give me a holler.
We'll get 2 weeks. Please make it to any of the GNCCs that you can.
Okay.
It's a pleasure having you.
Hey, man, it's been a blast, and I mean, if it's like this everywhere that y'all go.
Hey, this is rather a mild one.
Yeah. You need to make it to Indiana. I know you're a South Carolina boy, but the Indiana fans are GNCC crazy.
Oh, dog. Well, don't tell me that. Now you got me planning vacations.
We'll circle it on your calendar.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Ginger Billy, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok sensation, and you can check out all of his stuff on all the great social media platforms from right here in Union County, South Carolina. And again, part of the GNCC Racing Nation. We claimed you, buddy. You've been adopted.
Yes, sir. Thank you for adopting me. I appreciate it.
All righty. And Johnny, as we continue here with the racing, we're picking up the action here with the Yamaha Live Drone. We haven't seen a lot of changes, I don't think, as far as this race is concerned.
No, I don't know if we possibly missed Ben Kelly there. We did see Stu Baylor go by. We switched mics. All right. That's how that happened. Okay. So we had Stu Baylor come by in the lead. We had Ricky Russell in second. Don't know if we missed Ben Kelly, but Ben Kelly, we believe, still in the third place ride there from our Yamaha Live Drone. And next we should be seeing Lane Michael and Grant Baylor battling over that fourth place spot. But just a couple more miles until we'll see these guys coming through. And Ricky Towery will have a white flag waving, and and Rodney, we've just gotten word Grant Baylor up into the fourth place spot, has worked his way around Lane Michael, and now we're at the 10-mile marker, and there is Stu Baylor. We'd really like to get a split to see how secure Stu Baylor's lead is. 35 seconds over the top of that FMF PowerPoint hill climb. And now we'll wait and we'll watch and we'll see exactly where Ricky Russell and that 212 Coastal Racing gas are.
Wow, pretty impressive stuff going on there. Speaking of impressive, look what just walked in, our WXC winner today. And I got the first report this morning. There goes Ricky Russell. What was we at? 27 seconds.
About 20 seconds is what it was. And now we've got Ben Kelly about another still 6 seconds back. He just can't seem to get any closer than that 6 seconds right now.
Becca Sheets joining us in the booth now. And Becca, this is what I hear on the radio from out at checkpoint 3. Archer and Sheets going through and they're flying. I was like, wow, that sounds. And then like 20-30 seconds later, here comes third. I mean, you guys really scalded the dog this morning, it sounded like.
We had a really nice battle going on the first 2 laps, and Rachel's riding really awesome this year, and I knew third place was pretty far behind, so I just put my head down and tried to get around Rachel as quick as I could, and but yeah, it was an awesome little battle. I kind of thought the same. I'm like, we're ripping.
Well, the folks out on the track certainly saw it from that vantage point. Just saw Ricky Russell take a water bottle there, Johnny Gallagher, trying to keep hydrated here late in the race. 2 hours and 20 minutes into this one now, and we are basically a couple of minutes away from a white flag. There is Grant Baylor, that 4th place ride, as he's gotten around Lane Michael now and taking nothing away from Lane, man. This has been a solid day. I'm going to say maybe one of the most solid days we've seen throughout the so far 2 hours and 20 minutes of racing, as we've seen out of him in a long time. Yeah,
still a 5th place spot for Lane, and still a great ride for him. He's up there solidly in the top 5 in XC1 and top 5 overall, so that's definitely a good day going for him. He's been able to put it together really from start to this point, now coming up on the white flag, and with 1 lap remaining, he's got a pretty comfortable gap now over Jordan Ashburn, who we should be seeing come by here within the next couple moments, over that 6th place of Jordan Ashburn. So these guys are starting to get a little bit back here, starting to string out just a little bit. Wow. But still, a lot of action going on up front, and we keep thinking this battle's going to tighten up, but I really think it's the dust. Becca, you were out there this morning. What was it like trying to follow riders closely, but then also work your way through that dust at a high rate of speed? Was it kind of limiting the speed with the dust?
Yeah, there was definitely spots where, like, Rachel and I on the first couple laps, Rachel would pull about 5 seconds on me just because I literally couldn't see. So, but then there's other spots where it's not dusty at all, and the closer you can be, the better it is really to that rider in front of you. Because when you're back where that dust is just kind of hanging in the air, it's not really good to get through. Like, you really just can't see through it. So the whole track isn't dusty. It's just these parts that we've already run before this year, and the parts that we have ran all the time. So all that stuff that was down by the creek was really awesome, and yeah, I mean, it's dusty, but you can get through it. You can definitely make passes. You just got to be right there on the rear wheel of the rider in front of you.
Well, right now everybody's trying to get right to the rear wheel of that man, the 514 of Stu Baylor. Out front, has been leading this one since early in lap number 2, or midway through lap number 2, and still chasing him down. The 212 of Ricky Russell, right on cue. Coastal Racing Gas is there, and he's trying to, what's the gap?
27:59. He's increased his lap time by 30 seconds is what is impressive to me. The gap now between Ricky Russell and Stu Baylor checking in at just over 20 seconds. 20.608 seconds is what we're looking at. A 27:57 for Ricky Russell. He was actually faster than Baylor by 2 seconds.
And it looks like that Ben Kelly may have lost some time to Ricky Russell there. What's the gap back to third?
Well, 10.4 seconds now. Ben Kelly's lap time of 28:02. He's right there in contention with him within 5 seconds of Ricky Russell, but it's like every time that he reels Ricky in, Ricky finds another little ounce of throttle power there, it seems like.
This track is so fast that it really comes down to obviously the dust, but the lappers. Like, the track is so fast, but if you kind of just get hung up with a little bunch of lappers, they can mess you up pretty quick. So I'm sure anything can go on out there.
And as we well know, it often does. And with this final lap of racing now underway, we are on track for what I expect to be a a race that will end somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2 hours and 55, 56 minutes. And that's going to be all 2 hours and 56 minutes, I think, that these guys are going to want on a day like today.
There's your winner from round 1 here just 2 months ago, now up to the 4th place spot. Kind of been on the climb all day. Started off in about that 7th place spot, and he's just been chipping away at it. But Rodney, you never want to count the Grizzly out, but I think the ship has sailed as far as a win today, unless something wild transpires on this last lap. And honestly, with him being now a minute and 5 seconds back of Ben Kelly, it's going to be a tough job for him to even get up there and battle for a podium.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, you know, time is waning right now on that. When you look at lap times right now, Ben Kelly and Grant Baylor basically turned the identical lap times. There was 0.4 of a second difference on their lap times there. So unless Grant can find a little more speed, and Ben, and if Ben would happen to rest a little bit on this last lap, saying, okay, well, we'll just settle for this third and salvage the championship points as much as possible, that might be the saving grace that we might see Grant Baylor get on the podium.
Did you see that? Stu Baylor came to a stop in that turn and was looking at something on his rear wheel. Now, he didn't stop for long, but he definitely stopped, paused, took a look back at something in his rear wheel to see, potentially feeling like maybe he had a flat tire or a brake issue, but whatever it was, he didn't hang around long to figure it out. He took a look at it, looked ahead, and grabbed a handful of throttle and took off. Ricky Russell, though, still lurking, just back there, looking, taking a look over his shoulder to see where the number 530 of Ben Kelly is. Ricky got a pretty good little gap on him at the moment, so he's going to look at him blowing out those berms, making dust, and I can tell you, you know, Becca, I don't know about you, but yesterday when there was somebody behind me, I wasn't real cautious to stay out of the berms. I was getting into them and kicking up a little bit of extra dust, and we've seen these guys doing that today. Is all the more dust you can make, it makes it tougher for the rider behind you.
Yeah, that's definitely always a card you want to play when it's dusty. You got somebody behind you, blow out that berm a little bit, create a little extra dust. It was pretty hard with Rachel today. She was kind of doing that a few times and just trying to, it's like you're closing your eyes, just kind of getting through the track, which, like I said, this track is so fast, which is also what makes the dust so hard, because you're going so fast and just kind of trusting the ground that you're on and hoping that you're not hitting anything too crazy. And yeah.
That was one of the things I noticed coming into this weekend, is I really wasn't anticipating it to be as dusty as it is. And, you know, the track, the way it shapes up, this place is usually so hard-packed it almost gets blue-grooved rather than dusty, where this weekend, don't know if it's the fact that we ran this place just 2 months ago, or the way that, you know, we're running some new stuff, or newer stuff that we haven't run in quite a few years. But, man, when our race started, immediately, lap 1, it was just like brownout. So much dust that I was not anticipating popping up. I mean, I would say it was top 5 of dusty races in recent memory, just in terms of the way the dust hung in the woods.
Oh, I know on the conference call we had on Tuesday leading into the event, the track crew and Jared Bolton were talking about the fact that there hasn't been any rain here, and they said, what's conditions like down there? And Bolton's exact words were dry. It's very dry. I don't think it's going to be too bad, he said, but it is very dry. And, you know, so and looking at the weather forecast throughout the week, it was sunshine all week long, and we've seen mainly sunshine. I mean, there was a lot of overcast yesterday, but it was basically sunshine all day yesterday and really intense sunshine here today. So that's what, you know, it's just been baking and baking and baking, and every day that goes by, it only gets that much drier.
Yeah, and I think the dust is really kind of what's, like we talked about the pace car a couple laps ago, it's kind of not letting these guys get any closer than they are. They're just kind of hanging out about that, you know, 5 to 10 second gap apart from each other. Ricky a little more than that back from Stu, but not a whole bunch. So they're just kind of riding with the visibility that they have, and it's kind of, in a way, we haven't seen the wheel-to-wheel battles like we've seen throughout a little bit earlier this year, but we've seen these kind of battles of the stopwatch, I think, through the first 2.5 hours of racing.
Johnny Gerard checking in the number 7 spot overall. That does put him in the number 1 position of the XC2 250 Pro class. We've seen those changes coming there on the last lap of racing. Waiting on Craig. Actually, Craig DeLong has checked in now 20 seconds back in the number 2 spot. We now wait for Mike Witkowski, who had the lead there at the end of lap number 4.
A lot of battles happening about that XC1, XC2, and even the XC3 class, top amateur. So many battles going on out on the track right now. It's hard to keep track of them all. We did our amateur rundown, but we've been focused here on this XC1 class and the battle for the overall here. Grant Baylor now coming by in that 4th place spot. Again, doesn't look like he's going to have quite enough time to make a run at the podium. He's over a minute back of Ben Kelly, and it would at this point take a mistake from one of the top 3 or a serious push from Grant Baylor in the final miles of racing to make up a minute. Then look at this, Lane Michael still keeping him honest. He's not far behind him there in that 5th place spot, so your top 5 are now checked in.
I got to say, I am really excited about this ride for Lane Michael today. There's no doubt about it. To see what, like I said, the successes that he had last year and knowing the struggles that he's had and the frustrations that he's felt, because when he thinks things are on track, they just haven't seemed to be as much so as what he had hoped. But if this right here is what it took and what it's going to take to get him where he knows and feels that he can be, where Randy Hawkins and Ampro Yamaha feels that he's capable of riding and capable of finishing, we might see a turnaround in this. And if this is a trend that continues, I mean, obviously one race isn't going to make the difference. It's going to take a string of 3 or 4 or 5 of these races to start seeing this consistently. And once we do see this consistently, then we say he's now a contender.
Well, you know, Rodney, that's a good point you make there with Lane obviously up in the top 5, that 2 Yamahas up in the top 5 with, you know, Stu leading the way and Lane there in 5th. And, you know, I think it really does speak volumes about the kind of push we've seen out of the Blue Crew and the Blue Riders here this year and in the recent couple years. You know, it's fair to say that the Orange guys, KTM and even Husky a little bit, have kind of dominated GNCC in both the morning race and afternoon race on bikes for the last few years, and that's changed. I mean, Stu Baylor now on his way to 3 wins in a row. In the morning race, I think between Rachel and Becca, they've won every morning overall this year. You know, and the tide has changed a little bit there. I think we've seen it. We see those big Yamaha banners in the woods, so people talk about off-road, they talk about GNCC, and oh, it's KTM, Caleb Russell, and man, you know, Stu Baylor, Lane Michael, Beck Sheets, Rachel Archer, Mike Witkowski in that XC2 class, we're seeing more. It's starting to look more like the ATV side where it's just painted blue.
Yeah.
I had a feeling Stu was going to win today. I was like, I got off the track and I'm like, yep, I think Stu's got it today. This is Yamaha track, because like you're going so fast, and the Yamaha, the chassis, and the suspension, whomever does your suspension, it doesn't matter. Like the way those Yamahas handle with high speed and it just kind of handles everything that you kind of go
everything
over.
You throw at it, yeah.
Yeah, they work really well, so I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, the ergonomics, the way the chassis set up. I mean, you know, it's amazing. You think you have these things figured out. I mean, a handful, or several years ago, 10 years or so ago, you know, I saw that in the Suzukis. They seemed like they were the bike to beat. You know, you couldn't beat them in the cornering on both ATV and motorcycle side of things, if memory serves me correct. And to see that now with Yamaha finding that same kind of flow and that same kind of groove, it shows you the R&D that goes into it, the dedication they have to the motorcycle itself and presenting the best product possible.
Yeah, and I think, you know, speaking somewhat on behalf of Yamaha, you know, they've invested huge in GNCC and in off-road the last couple of years. There's definitely some new leadership there and some people that have been around for a long time that have been kind of tooting the off-road horn and GNCC and saying, hey guys, we need to make a bigger push here. And, you know, on both ATVs and motorcycles, we see the presence. You know, we see the Yamaha semis at these events, and, you know, not taking anything away from what KTM and the European manufacturers have done. Obviously having Gas this year, Beta back, you know, having Kawasaki having a semi, I think it speaks volumes as to the quality of racing and the quality of series that GNCC is, that so many manufacturers look at this as the platform, not only to develop their brands, but also to showcase what they're capable of. And yeah, as a Yamaha guy myself, it doesn't hurt me to say that Yamaha's having some great results.
Listen to this. I mean, this tells you I guess, how much of a diversity there is in talent in GNCC. Ben Kelly rides a KTM, leading the points. Josh Strang running second in points, rides a Kawasaki. Grant Baylor, third in points, rides a Gas. Jordan Ashburn running fourth in points, runs a Husqvarna. Stu Baylor, fifth in points as of today, rides a Yamaha. There's 5 different brands in the top 5 right now, and I don't recollect a time that I can ever ever say that was happening in GNCC.
Yeah, the diversity is great, and it shows, like I said, shows how many manufacturers and how many companies are willing to back such a great platform for them to showcase their products.
Well, right now the big question is, will Stu Baylor be able to hang on to this, and what's going to happen in that second and third place position here at the Tiger Run GNCC? We're just 20 minutes away from checkers. Who's going to take them? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
This week in Yamaha history takes us to April 2005. It was the year when Juha Salminen made his debut in GNCC racing and had become quite the adversary. It was also a day of times with riders like Shane Watts, Robbie Jinks, Fred Andrews, Steve Hatch, Nate Caney, Jimmy Jarrett, Scott Summers, Barry Hawk, and many, many more. It was a dry, typical big buck GNCC race day, as it was round number 4 of the season, and on this day, on lap number 1, the riders all scrambled to try and take the lead, as it had become a mad dash since the arrival of Salminen. Mike Lafferty was leading at the end of lap number 1, as this slugfest was only beginning. Up to this point in the season, Juha Salminen had seemed to take control of the situation, but on number. It was a tight race through the early portion of this race, as Barry Hawk was not going to relinquish total control to Juha on that day. Finally, at one point on lap number 4, Juha Salminen made a mistake and went down. Barry Hawk was there to quickly capitalize, and finally Barry had chinked Juha's armor. After taking the lead, the Hawk had spread his wings and was soaring to his first of 3 wins in 2005. And that's this week in Yamaha history.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association, racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
You've never experienced excitement like this. Motorcycles on dirt, battling at over 100 miles an hour. Amazing family fun, including live music, bike displays, vendors, and more. Kids 12 and under get in free. The Yamaha Racing Atlanta Super TT American Flat Track Motorcycle Race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Saturday, May 1st. Get your tickets at AmericanFlatTrack.com.
Brown's RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins. The Yamaha GNCC University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2021 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort June 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elite to instruct in-depth courses and fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis, with limited openings evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, contact Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386.
And welcome back to GNCC Live as we take a look at all the great action from around the GNCC Racing Nation on a Saturday, and part of that included our specialized E-Turbo round number 2 of the new national championship. And of course, all eyes once again on that front row, the XC1 class, and all eyes, and I'm sure everyone expecting to see Charlie Mullins totally, well, dominate and control yet again. And guess what? They got exactly what they came for, if that's what they were looking for. But I'll tell you also, got the chance to see some pretty good rides out there by several other riders throughout the course of yesterday's race as well. I know Kyle Smith had a good run going out there as he finished in the third place position on board the number 2. We saw him going there by a few moments ago. Also, Nick Mackey rode an amazing race. Third place for a good part of the race. He was able to make the pass there in the closing moments on Kyle Smith to take the second place position. So Charlie Mullins took another win. Nick Mackey, Kyle Smith, William Pegram, and Jeff McCarron rounded out the top 5. And I think it's important to say, we're starting to see more and more names come into this, and more and more players, and I think we're going to see more and more competition as time goes on as far as EMTB GNCC is concerned as well. Picking the action back up now here at the motorcycle side of things on this Sunday. Wow, it's hard to believe our Tour of the South is going to be done, our southern tenure in the GNCC schedule for 2021, but we're still just a few minutes away. According to timing and scoring right now, we're looking at some 8.5 minutes. 8.5 minutes before we expect to see the actual checker flag fly, and it's going to be dynamic, my friend. I mean, it's going to be huge. It's going to be monumental. Anything and any word that you can think of. The folks in South Carolina are going to be going off the charts. There is Stu Baylor at the 10-mile marker. He is inching.
That's actually the 8.
Oh, okay, the 8-mile marker. The 8-mile marker, and he makes his way through there. And again, still on a phenomenal pace, nearing 3 hours of racing, and still seems like he's got someone on his rear tire chasing him down.
Yeah, he's got Ricky Russell not too far back, but Ricky not quite close enough to make a serious push to get to the rear wheel. We see Ricky a little pixelated, but there he is. And was that? I don't believe that was, but it looked as though it might have been a KTM behind him. I was wondering if that could have been the 530 of Ben Kelly, but that gap had opened up pretty good the last time we saw them there, and that is not Ben Kelly. That is a lapped rider there trying to hitch a ride with Ricky Russell. So it looks like Ricky's still safe in that number 2 spot. No pressure from behind at the moment, but we do know last we had seen Ben Kelly still there in 3rd, and I believe that is Ben Kelly right there. So still in 3rd, still charging, still in a podium position, but not quite as close as surely he would like to be to Ricky Russell, potentially make a pass.
Now, this is one of those low-lying areas. Johnny, we were talking off camera a few moments ago about some of the moisture, and this is one of the areas that I think, where it doesn't look so bad out there. This might have been an area where you guys could rest. I think Becca was talking about down by the creek. It was not so bad down in that area.
I think we've come to the conclusion that I'm the only one that just did not like the dirt this weekend.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't like it.
Yeah, my son, he wasn't a fan of it either. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but he really enjoyed the course itself and the race, but it was just, certain things about it that he didn't like as much as others.
Phenomenal course layout. I felt like this was one of the better big buck layouts that we've had in recent years. I did prefer it over the layout we had when we were here 2 months ago. But again, we're not talking about that stuff that hangs in the air
old and cranky, man.
Because I've been told that I am the only one that feels like it was, not the only one, but one of the few that feels like it was actually pretty bad. But Grant Baylor on the charge, and he's digging up some moist dirt. From here, basically at the 10-mile marker, they run a little bit different track than what we did. There's a couple sections. Actually, further out, there was a few more bike-only sections, but Becky, you can let me know if I'm missing anything, but I think it's pretty clear sailing from here for Stu. There's really no challenges left ahead of him other than the lapped riders.
Yeah, it's all pretty easy. I think there's only one dusty section right before the finish, and that's about it. He should keep it up. Pretty good.
Well, we heard, Rodney, we were talking a little bit earlier about the rocks popping up out of the ground. We've seen it on social media. We've heard multiple riders mention it. What do you attribute that difference to this weekend? Did you notice that being out there this morning? There was more rocks than normal for this property? Yeah,
there was definitely a lot more rocks, and in the dust, it was a little sketchy, but I like the rock sections that we had. Obviously, like those white rocks that are always here on this property. We came up a hill with some of those, and I don't know, it was really interesting to see all the rocks, and they were there when we were pedaling the track, so it was cool. It's kind of like a little South Carolina hard pack mixed with a little bit of West Virginia.
and we think that may have actually played into the points today. We're speculating. We think that may have been what caused the damage to Josh Strang's wheel hub, causing him to have to come in to make a front wheel change, drop outside the top 20. Last we knew he was up in 17th OA. Stu Baylor in the auxiliary pits. Now it's just a hop, skip, and a jump, and he will be to the finish line and a checkered flag waving. Where do we have Josh Strang in the OA?
Oh, let's see here. I'm looking. I don't see him in top 20 right now, so he may have encountered some more issues out there. So he's 21st right now. So he's dropped to 21st. So something more must have happened to Josh out there. He must be struggling a little more than what we recognized there at one point in the race.
He's still out on the last lap. Ricky Russell now in the auxiliary pro pits and working his way through the finish. That gap has opened up even more to Stu Baylor. So Ricky not within striking distance, barring some type of a misfortune for Stu Baylor. He is well on his way to 3 wins in a row and chipping away ever more at that points lead. It was 19 coming in this weekend. We do believe that if things finish the way they are and Ben Kelly rounds out the podium in third, that would be a 9-point swing, meaning 10 points would be the gap between Stu Baylor and Ben Kelly. He would definitely hop over Josh Strang today if Josh Strang can't score any top 20 points. He may get even... he would probably still be behind Grant, because Grant would be there in 4th, meaning that would be a 9, so that would be another 3 points, so that would be 12 points. He would not be able to get quite around Grant, but he would be getting ever closer.
Here's Stu Baylor at the FMF PowerPoint hill climb. He just has to kind of go up here and around a couple more corners, and not too far from the finish line.
It's really just a straight shot along the side of the start section, and this is, like I said, all the challenging stuff, all the kind of curveballs that could be thrown his way, he's now got behind him.
I would say so. I think he's going to do it.
Well, in the home stretch, if you will, of this one, according to timing and scoring, we are just over 2.5 minutes out from the waving of a checker flag. And Stu Baylor appears to be the rider that it will be waving for, but that 20-second gap is still what we're concerned about. And in the final and closing moments of a GNCC, you can never count it out. But as we head down Pro Row, BP Fuels Pro Row, we can see that Stu Baylor is certainly looking very comfortable in that #1 position and hitting his marks, if you will, and keeping things moving in the right direction.
Yeah, he's got the cushion he needs. He can just ride smart these last, it's not even a couple miles. It's less than a mile to the finish from where he's at in VP Fuels Pro Row. So it's just kind of a cruise at this point. And yeah, I mean, another formality for Stu. He told us a couple races ago he wanted to get back up in there and get back in the championship hunt. He's making up 9 points on that guy right there that we just saw on screen. Still in third. Ben Kelly, the 530, still comfortably there, but he's definitely lost even more time to Ricky Russell.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe Grant would have been able to close up, but doesn't look like he's closing up to challenge anything as Ricky Russell makes his way through the VP Fuels Pro Row now and still laying chase to Stu Baylor in hopes of gaining some sort of opportunity to make a pass and take the win away. But the way things are looking, all rights reserved for an amazing ride by Stu Baylor once again here in the soils of South Carolina. This is where it all started for him as far as wins are concerned in his career. The first time Stu Baylor got an XC1 win, it was right here at this Big Buck property. His brother, the same thing, was hoping for that redemption after a few rounds of not as up to par races as he would have liked to have had, but still a stellar ride for this rider today, salvaging a 4th place position and a move forward for him as well, Johnny Gallagher, in the future. Something to build on, building blocks like what we've seen out of Lane Michael today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, with Grant, you know, he's kind of been solid through the first 4 rounds. Another 4th place finish today. Surely wanted to be on the podium. Obviously, probably wanted to win. They all do, but you know, it's a good points day for him. It'll keep him solidly in the top 5 in points. Probably still in the top 3 as well. And as you said, Lane Michael, right on cue, just talking about him, and he comes through in that 5th place spot, a top 5. Something this guy should be pretty happy with, given the way the first 4 rounds of racing has gone for him.
No doubt, a big celebration at the AmPro pits here this evening. I'm quite sure with Baylor taking the win and this phenomenal ride that we've seen out of the 523 today. So pretty spectacular as we are nearing the conclusion of this lap. According to timing and scoring, we should be seeing Stu Baylor checking into the finish line region any moment now and snagging that checker flag in the win. And speaking of the devil, here he comes into the final and closing moments of this Tiger Run GNCC.
Will we see a loop out?
Around the final turns, he brings it home and the checkers fly, and Stu Baylor takes the win here.
That was a pretty subdued celebration.
It was.
Well, maybe we missed something.
He's
maybe
like,
there's
something's wrong with my back.
Yeah, there's something going on there. I mean, he's been looking at that rear tire, and you pointed that out, Johnny Gallagher, half or 3/4 of a lap ago, and it obviously is something that has been compounding evidently going through the whole thing. Maybe it was a flat tire. We'll find out. We see he and Corey talking about it there. Corey doesn't seem to be too worried about it. So
Stu's bringing it up, and Corey's saying, "Hey, bud, you just won. We'll deal with that here in a minute."
I know, man, but you know, I want it to be perfect. But you know, and at that level, man, I mean, Stu Baylor right now is riding phenomenally. And how about it for this guy?
Awesome.
I mean, I don't think we've given the accolades to the ride that he has given. How dynamic. I mean, that was huge.
You want to talk about a weight lifted off somebody's chest. Ricky Russell has been, ever since that crash, you know, last year at Georgia, he's just been trying to fight and claw his way back. He's a fighter. You call him rough and rowdy. Well, today he showed just how rough and rowdy he was. Rodney, I'll use your line. I got chills thinking about it. This guy's back in contention to win races, and I think it's only going to get stronger and better for Ricky Russell.
Yep, that's for sure. So congratulations to Ricky Russell. The road back, maybe not as long as what it could have been, but I'm sure longer than what he wanted it to be.
You know, and while we got him on screen here, and while we wait for Ben Kelly to check in, you know, Ricky, Ben Kelly did check in already? Okay. Well, Ben Kelly in that 3rd place spot then. We'll hear from all 3 of these guys.
Yep.
But Ricky Russell, you know, we haven't talked about him enough. Rodney, we talked about it on camera a little bit last race, but Ricky Russell, a rider that came, you know, in a van by himself, and I spent the last couple weeks with him, and he actually told me the story. I won't give you the specifics, but exactly how much money was in his checking account when he left Duval, Washington in 2013 to come out here to race GNCC to make this dream a reality. So when you see a guy like this on the podium, this is a guy that risked everything, that put everything he had into taking this chance just because some people told him, hey, you're pretty good on a dirt bike, you're winning a bunch of local races, you should go test your skills against the best in the world and go race GNCC. No support, no nothing, just came out here, made friends, made family along the way. Becky, you remember we were talking, Ricky was telling me the best goggle change he ever ever had to this day was Walker Fowler hitting him on the run at one of his first ever races. He said, I never even came to a stop. He just shoved him in my face. Stories like that are what GNCC racing is all about. And now he's on the podium, but the man of the day, the man of the hour, Stu Baylor.
That's it. Let's head down to Mikey Wayne's in that winner's circle. It looks like Stu has got a big smile on his face, and for good reasons.
Rodney Tomlin. Yeah, Stu Baylor, man, don't know what else to say. Fantastic ride, battling early on, but the rest of the day it was you. Seems like the most concern you was staring at the tire.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on. I thought for sure that the bib was rolling. Like I felt the tire rolling. Must have just been in my head. I started riding a little more conservative just in case it was, and I don't know. I gave up a little bit of time there, and then I knew it is what it is. We've got to make it to the finish, so we're gonna pin it. So that's what we did. Yeah, you know, it was good early on. I got a decent jump off the start. I think I came into a couple guys. My back end, I could feel it sliding. I don't know who I caught, but I'm sure somebody went down at that first turn. But yeah, I tried to make as many passes as I could, as fast as I could, and we put ourselves in a really good position early on, right there with Ricky, and the pace was just wicked fast that first lap, and Ricky and I were able to get a pretty good gap on those guys. I could close up on him in the wet stuff, and in the dry stuff, you could tell like he was just riding his race and slowing down there because he knew I couldn't catch up, and I was doing the same thing. So we were sprinting where we could and holding back where we could and gapped the guys, and saw that Ben got in third there mid-race, and you know, I was waiting for him to catch us. I saw he gained some time there in the middle, and then Ricky started gaining on me, and I knew it was time to drop the hammer in those last two.
In a row, feeling like you're starting to carry some momentum as we head, we start back up north over in Indiana, and then we, the rest,
yeah,
it's a long one.
Yeah, I need some redemption on the Ironman Hill. So we'll get our redemption on the Ironman Hill. You know, that was one of those races led all day until the middle of the race, and Josh got by, and we were just kind of cruising. I had my line picked out, put myself right in a good position, and do it away on that Ironman Hill. So we got to do it a little better next time. But yeah, 3 in a row, we're gaining some traction. We're moving some serious points. You know, I think we're 10 points out of the lead now, coming from 40 down. So yeah, we're moving in the right direction every weekend, and we just got to keep the traction and keep the bike on the ground, and we'll be there soon enough.
Rodney, you pointed out Stu Baylor once again nailing the math.
Man, I tell you, I think he does all that figuring and ciphering during the race, to be honest with you. It kind of gives him something else to think about while he's riding and gets his mind off of things. I don't know if that's true or not, but wow, I mean, this guy really on what it's going to take to win this championship. There's no doubt about it. And look at that smile. Look at that guy right there. He's happy. He's rough. He's rowdy. He's Ricky Russell, and he's with big boy Mikey Waynes.
With Ricky Russell, man. Back the top 3 performance, man.
It was like almost gone. And then it came back.
Ricky, tell us about this ride, man. Absolutely spectacular. Come back.
Yeah, no doubt. Needed this. It's been a while, and it wasn't a win, but it was a win in my shoes. So come back, finally get on the podium. Took 5 rounds, unfortunately, but Stu was riding good, and I was minimizing the gap, but he was just controlling the gap. So the dust was just tough, and I don't know. I'm just happy to be in second place today.
Congratulations to you, man. I got to feel like you've been chipping away at this one. How much does it mean to you getting the second place finish, and what kind of momentum does this carry for you moving into the rest of the season?
It means a lot, for sure. I mean, like we've just been a little bit off, and just trying to put it all together. And I told everyone this week I felt really good, and I was practicing well, so that was awesome. And then about halfway through, I started losing rear brake, and luckily Caleb's got us doing no rear brake drills, so I was staying off of it, and it kind of came back, and was able to get the rear brake back and kind of regain composure and just hold that consistent second place. But yeah, hopefully the momentum carries on to the next round.
There you go. Congratulations to Ricky Russell taking second place here today.
Wow, big finish for Ricky Russell there, no doubt about it, with that second place. Like he said, Johnny, to him it may not be the win, but to him it feels like a win. And when you come back from what he came back from, it is a win in anybody's book, I think. The championship points might not say that. The winners column might not say that, but anybody that knows that this was a huge win for Ricky Russell today to capture that second place position, and a great ride, a good solid ride by Ben Kelly today. Kind of a yo-yo effect. I mean, I thought he was looking for a new name because he would reel him in and he would lose him. He reel him in, and it was like a yo-yo effect all day on that second place position, but maintains it and holds on for the third place position and is with Mikey Waynes.
Well, thanks, Rodney. Down here with Ben Kelly. Ben, I can see it on your face. I mean, obviously you got to feel good about a podium performance, but we know what you want. You want those wins, man. Tell us about today's run.
Yeah, definitely want the win, but just wasn't in the cards today. I had a good jump off the line. I think I was third, and then the second we got into the woods, it was just white out. Like, I was just like idling through the trail, and honestly was running off the trail. It was crazy, and Stu was able to muscle by me in the dust and just pass through the guys, and I was behind Thad for a little bit and was able to get around him. He kind of took an outside line. I was able to squeak through the inside, and yeah, from then on I was kind of on my own all day. Was trying to reel in those guys. I was kind of reeling in Ricky Russell all day, but he was riding really good. A few times I would get up to where I could see him, but the dust was treacherous with the lappers, and a little part of the track was good. Moisture down the creek bottom was a lot of fun, but I would kind of reel him in there, and then once I would see him, he would pull away, and just kind of yo-yoed with him all day. Wish I could have got that second place, but he was riding good. Hats off to him and Stu. But after last round, I was super bummed. I wasn't feeling good. Things didn't go my way, so to ride strong all day and feel strong at the end was solid. It was just a tough day, tough conditions, and to be on the podium is cool.
Chipping at it, on to the next one. Congrats to Ben Kelly, taking third place today.
Well, there you go. Ben Kelly, third place position here in the XC1 and the overall, so congratulations to him, and helping, I think, hold on to some good points there as far as the points lead is concerned. I know with Josh Strang having his issues today, that's not going to be a threat there. So Ben Kelly should still maintain the points lead, but again, it's starting to shrink. There's no doubt about it, and I believe that Johnny Gerard checking in with the win. Craig DeLong in second. Thorne Devlin. Woo! Yes, Thorne Devlin, the 109 Beta ride out of Pennsylvania, rounds out the top three. Roy Barbosa, the 356 from Chile, was fourth, and Evan Smith from Jefferson, Georgia, in fifth. What an amazing different look to this XC2 class. We haven't seen Mike Wachowski check in yet for that sixth lap complete, at least according to timing and scoring. But this guy did. Checked in with an explanation point. Johnny Gerard down with Mikey Waynes.
Johnny Gerard.
Another race, another win.
Yeah, man, I had to work hard for that one. I was down far. I had a couple big crashes the first couple laps and really set myself back. I pushed hard all moto. I knew I'd been putting in the work. I knew I was fit to do this, and I pushed hard, and I came through, and I got it done in the last couple laps, man. It felt good.
Johnny, these wins you're clicking off, this momentum you're carrying as we enter round number 6 here in a couple of weeks in Indiana. How you feeling?
I feel good. I'm excited. It's a fast track. I'm excited. Let's go.
Take it back to you in the booth, Rodney. That's Johnny. This is Rodney.
Well, that's Johnny right there, too. So.
That right there is imposter Johnny G. Now, great ride for Johnny Gerard. And, a couple things there, Rodney, we saw Johnny Gerard, obviously, another win. Momentum continuing to go in his favor. And, our early leader, Mike Wachowski, like you said, not even checking in the top 6. Looked like Liam Draper may have checked in as well there, so that puts Mike even another position back. Don't know if he's checked in.
He did check in 7th place position, 6 seconds behind Liam Draper. That last lap time time dropped to a 32-minute lap time for Mike Witkowski, which was nearly 3 minutes off the pace, 2.5 minutes off the pace of the lap that the laps he turned earlier. So something big happening to Witkowski on that final lap, a heartbreaker for him. But certainly Thorne Devlin, I mean, that kid, he's needed this, I think.
Absolutely, that's awesome. Thorne Devlin, nice young man. Been trying to kind of get his feet wet here in GNCC the last couple years, but he's made it work today on that XC2 podium. Get a chance to thank the sponsors. And one other thing while we're looking at the top 10 here, I think Ben Kelly's demeanor in that interview, very telling.
Yeah.
Podium, most guys happy with the podium, even if it's not their best effort. Ben Kelly visibly frustrated, visibly upset, definitely knowing he needs to win races. But keep in mind, he did open up his points gap today. Josh Strang having a rough go of it, opening up his points lead over Grant Baylor, opening up his points lead over Jordan Ashburn. Stu Baylor, though, making up 9 points on him. So Stu Baylor, we'll have to do the math, but I think Stu Baylor may have moved up to 3rd in the points.
Wow, that's pretty impressive for Baylor, especially after the struggles he had through the first couple of rounds of racing. And wow, what a day. 5 rounds of racing in GNCC, Johnny, as we approach the midway point of the 2021 season. Who would have thought it was going to be like this? I think we all had our ideas and our dreams and wonders of what was going to take place, but it's even better than what we could have even imagined.
And we get to do it again in 2 weeks.
That's right. We're heading over to the Hoosier at the Ironman property. Join us. Find out more details and information by logging on to GNCCRacing.com. And be sure and follow us on all social medias at GNCC Racing. On behalf of Johnny Gallagher, Mikey Waynes, and all of us here at RacerTV.com, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.